related to the second recall. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports U.S. law enforcement agencies have seized the classified ad website Backpage.com as part of an enforcement action by the FBI, according to a posting on the Backpage website on Friday. Groups and political leaders working to end forced prostitution and child exploitation celebrated the shutdown of Backpage, a massive ad marketplace that some say is primarily used to sell sex. But some internet and free speech advocates warn the action could lead to harsh federal limits on expression and the press. The website posting said U.S. attorneys in Arizona and California, as well as the DOJ's section on child exploitation and obscenity, and the California and Texas attorneys general have helped shut down the website. The DOJ said late on Friday that a court in Arizona ruled the case remains sealed, which puts any legal information under wraps. In the posting about the seizure, the department had originally said more information would be made public on Friday evening. A Phoenix FBI official said there was a law enforcement activity in Sedona, Arizona, home of Michael Lacey, one of the founders of Backpage, but referred further inquiries to the DOJ. Backpage and advocacy groups say the ads are free speech protected by the U.S. Constitution. In 2016, Texas and California authorities raided the company's Dallas headquarters and arrested chief executive Carl Ferrer and other former company executives on pimping-related charges. The judge in that case ruled the website was protected by the First Amendment and it was not liable for the speech of third parties. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
The manatee is a solitary creature, drifting along in the warm, peaceful shallows. They are not usually held in a small glass enclosure with 3 other male manatees hell-bent on the violent forced sex that I, for real, saw with my own eyes while alone one night at SeaWorld, San Diego. A distant relative of the elephant, the manatee has a prehensile upper lip which it uses to gather food. It also has a large penis. Classified as endangered, human boaters often cause serious wounds to manatees' flippers, rendering it difficult for this one poor little rescue manatee to escape a large male manatee intent on unwanted anal intercourse. One needed not to look in that little manatee victim's cold, soul-sapped eyes to know this was not the first time this had happened, nor would it be the last.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live. This is Free Talk Live. It is the live Saturday edition of the program. As always, we are here and we'll take your calls about whatever is on your mind. You can take control of the airwaves here. Bring up whatever you want to discuss at 855-450 free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. And joining you here in the studio tonight, it's Ian
and Mark.
As we jump into a story that's related to a piece we discussed in detail last night. For those of you who don't get our weekday program, or you don't, listen to the podcast, because a lot of our radio listeners only hear us on Saturday nights, you need to know why Craigslist just shut down their personals section.
Amazingly, the news just passed me by.
You didn't see this anywhere?
No.
So, and that's actually what we're going to talk about, is how the news just doesn't care about this story, and they should, because this is an attack on freedom of speech. And the attack I'm talking about is a piece of legislation that is basically sitting on Trump's desk. It's been passed by the Senate and the U.S. House, and it is called SESTA FOSTA. It's the combination of 2 different bills, and I'm sure we'll come across what they stand for here in a moment. But these 2 bills basically are going to be amending a certain section of the U.S. Code that for a long time has protected free speech, or to some extent free speech on the internet. Specifically, your ability to run a website that allows people to post on it. Remember, Mark, there was this discussion of Web 2.0, most of a decade ago. This was the next step for the World Wide Web.
Facebook is, right?
Facebook is a part of that.
So Web 1.0 is web page owners generate content.
And you go read it.
Right. And Web 2.0 is website owners allow you to generate content.
Correct. So that could be through something
Facebook, the largest content generator in the world, generates no content. And,
Right.
Uber, the largest transportation company in the world, has no cars, or at least not very many.
Right. Uber's kind of like the transportation 2.0 compared to Web 2.0. So Web 2.0, not just Facebook, though, Mark, any site that would have, say, a comments section.
Yep.
Any site that would have a message board, some sort of way for people to post.
Largely, I think it's been disastrous. But,
Web 2.0?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I think most people's opinions stink.
Yeah. Well, there have been some sites. I believe Vice.com actually turned off commenting entirely. They just decided that it wasn't worth it to have a troll zone on every post. I mean, that's basically what most comment sections turn into. I leave commenting on at Freekeen just because I'm somewhat amused by the trolls, but not because there's any real valuable, commenting going on there. But anyway, the idea of the Web 2.0 was you get your customers, or the readers in this case, the web browsers, you, the viewer, to interact with the site more than just clicking and reading. Comment. Tell us how you feel. Do you like this article? Whatever. Get in an argument with some of the other commenters. There was this community.
It's a really great use of your time.
Well, you're being facetious.
No, I think it's a terrible use of your time. I'm of the opinion that people don't get convinced of anything on the internet, and that any amount of time spent trying to convince them, belittle them, whatever, cajole them into a different opinion is a waste of everybody's time. Tell you what, the next time you're tempted to make some kind of comment, call up your children, read a book to them, tell them you love them, anything but that.
So we're going to go to your calls and thoughts here, but where we're going with this story is from Matt Welch over the Hit and Run blog on Reason.com. He's going to explain why, or his observation that the media is completely missing the boat with this. They are ignoring this story and or cheering on the story.
I love Reason as a news source. They really take a great look at the views of an issue, and they come up with what it seems to me is the most reasonable position. It may not always be the most palatable because we are an unreasonable species, but it's the most reasonable.
So just to recap here, the SESTA FOSTA Act, if it goes into law, which it may very well, because again it's on Trump's desk and his press secretary has tweeted out support for it. His daughter has tweeted out support for it. I don't know if Trump himself has said anything. We could not find that last night when we were looking into it. But basically, this is
Trump's probably very busy spreading the gospel to porn stars.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly had a history of his own with prostitution. And this law is going to make it so that anybody posting, if there are at least 5 posters on a website posting what is ostensibly prostitution advertising, the website will be considered to be part of sex trafficking. So they're suggesting here, they're saying that now if you run a website where consensual activity is happening, where professional sex workers, prostitutes, are advertising their services, they're not slaves, they're not being held at gunpoint by a pimp.
They're not human trafficked.
No, they are consensual operators in a business.
Well, I would be of the opinion that some people who are on some of these sites are probably being human trafficked. Now, what the percentage is, are we talking about 1%? Are we talking about 10%? I don't believe for a second, having done interviews with prostitutes and these sorts of things, that we're talking about 50%.
The government wants you to believe that they're all trafficked.
There are certainly, I don't know what the government wants, but I know that plenty of people out there want you to believe that any sexual contact with people that's consensual, that includes money or compensation of any sort, is in some way coerced.
It's ridiculous. And anybody who's a professional sex worker will tell you that.
Yeah, likely a few of them, a good few of them, believe that marriage is coercion for women too.
So my point was, though, these acts will make it a criminal. You, as a website operator, will be a criminally liable person or also civilly liable person for that content. You will be considered to be part of a sex trafficking ring. And that means that free speech on the internet is under dire threat at this point. You've got Craigslist that has completely shut down in anticipation of this law, which, by the way, according to the EFF story we read last night, is effective retroactively, which is a clear violation of
ex post facto.
Ex post facto.
Yeah.
So whether or not it's going to survive legal challenge is another question, but still, it
doesn't really matter to these people whether they survive legal challenges. The arrest is the punishment, not the conviction being appealed and turned over. Because most of the appeals courts, the only place you can look for justice. The first level of courts is a rubber stamp for the Justice Department.
Almost every time. That's true. So Matt Welch writes over at the Hit and Run blog, if Jesus was right about how ye shall know them by their fruits, then we might have a good test case for gleaning what the journalism establishment, if such a thing exists, considers an important threat to the free press. In one corner, we have a must-run cookie-cutter anti-fake news promotional video ordered up by the conservative-leaning Sinclair Broadcast Group to its most-in-the-nation 193 local television news outlets, at a time when the company's controversial merger with Tribune Company is being held up by antitrust regulators at the Justice Department. So maybe you've heard about this Sinclair Broadcast Group. They had the same script that went out to all of their TV stations, and somebody made a video showing all of the Sinclair Journal people, the news broadcasters reading the same script. And,
in unison.
Right.
As a matter of fact, Sinclair was very clear to their stations that they must read it verbatim, and they mayn't change a single word.
Yeah, so that's the one thing.
That's why it's verbatim, because it was, dictated that it would be verbatim.
So there's some coverage of that. And then in the other corner, says Matt Welch, we have a sex trafficking act passed overwhelmingly by Congress. Votes were 388 to 25 in the House and 97 to 2 in the Senate, despite being vociferously opposed on free speech grounds by the ACLU and the Electronic Frontier Foundation, and reliable civil libertarians such as Senator Rand Paul and Senator Ron Wyden, which were the only two who voted against it. The latter of whom warned that, quote, civic organizations protecting their rights to free speech could be ruined by their more powerful political opponents, and that subsequently there could be an enormous chilling effect on free speech in America, talking about the SESTA FOSTA legislation that is so close to being signed by President Trump.
So just for people to be clear, freedom of speech and freedoms of all sorts, they don't go away at once. Some tyrant doesn't get into office and then take everything at once.
No.
They wouldn't get away with it. The people would rise up against them. But this is the frog in the pot, and the degrees are turned up. Yeah, they're going to go after escorts first. They're an easy target. But the question is whether you should be able to run a website that has, posts on it, and you have to do the government's job and police that website. The 13th Amendment says that no, there's no involuntary servitude, but I've got to do your job, feds?
So
855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live.
Yep, there's more coming up here. You can join us.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
From the second letter of Captain Mark. Any pirate knows that commerce is communication. Markets condense oceans of information into a single price. Innovations in communication are circumventing the scrutiny of the Crown. This signals a change in the coin of the realm. The Crown uses digital currency to surveil, censor, seize, and destroy wealth at will, so pirate currency must protect us from this weaponized money. We need to move funds further, faster, cheaper, and without third-party observation, basing decisions on an accelerating flow of information. So pirates require nearly instantaneous transactions with no arbitrary limits on volume or artificial influences on fees. Most importantly, a pirate currency must preclude centralization. Otherwise, it will become another link in our chain to the Crown. A superior currency will result in the obsolescence of the coin of the realm and the extinction of the Crown itself. Trade above the grid. Join us at pirateswithoutborders.com.
If you're looking for work, you know what I mean by elevator speech. It's the short version, saying just enough to make the listener want to listen more. Even if you're not a job seeker, effective communication skills have never been more important, with money and attention so scarce now. So to cut through the clutter, choose every single word as though it was the last word the person you're speaking to will hear. Otherwise, it might be. Instead of saying, due to the fact that, say, because. And avoid mispronunciations. Say jewelry, not jewelry, which could offend. Undoubtedly, you don't want to say undoubtedly. And whatever you do, never use a preposition to end a sentence with. Just kidding. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can take control of the airwaves here toll-free, 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Joining you tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
And Mark, getting, I don't know, quite over. You're still in the middle of being sick.
I sound worse than I feel.
Yeah. Okay.
Terribly sorry. But even in this
condition. You should have
condition.
heard Will this week. Oh, my God. He was sounding like Wolfman Jack.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
Well, he's the guy that's on the show. It's right before us on the weekdays here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. But I got to say, with my prodigious talent, even, operating at this diminished capacity, I'm still better than that guy with half his brain tied behind his back. So go ahead.
You just had to say that. All right. So we're going to go to your calls and thoughts. But just again, in case you're just tuning in, what we're going to share here is from Matt Welch over at Reason.com about this new legislation passed by the Senate and the House overwhelmingly. 388 votes in the House and 97 votes in the Senate to basically destroy freedom of speech, or what remains of freedom of speech on the internet in the United States, in the form of shutting down websites and attacking their operators for simply allowing people to post content, specifically content that the federal government believes is related to prostitution, like a personal ad, for instance, that might have code words in it that relate to possibly being hired for some sort of sexual encounter. And
I'm not sure the freedom of speech has been destroyed by this.
No, it's the begin. It's the beginning of the end here, because this has taken down Craigslist's personals site. The entire personal section on
Backpage's
Craigslist.
Offices were raided.
That's correct. They haven't been charged with this, but yes, they did raid Backpage's offices yesterday, and that was essentially only a personals website. So the reason why, Mark, this is going to be much bigger than maybe you're seeing here is because any site that allows people to post content that has 5 pieces of content, 5 people who've posted something that the federal government believes or state governments believe is prostitution related, which again could just be as simple as a personal ad that they say is prostitution related, could mean that you, as a website operator, will be facing criminal charges for sex trafficking.
And
so
remember,
most websites aren't going to want to face potential sex trafficking criminal charges, so they're going to err on the side of caution and shut down any areas which don't have the most extreme level of internal regulation, moderation, where every single message has to be checked and checked twice by some staff member to make sure it doesn't hold any potential for prostitution. I mean, this could be a huge chilling effect on freedom of speech.
Yeah, I think it'll shut down just about all personals that aren't sort of like Christian singles in your area.
I don't even know about that, Mark. But either way, we're just seeing the beginnings of the effects where Craigslist has even shut down in anticipation of shut down their personals in anticipation of this passing. But,
now, and when I grew up in the Tampa Bay area of Florida, as did you, Ian.
Yeah.
And now here in New Hampshire, I never see this. But
prostitution?
Driving along Highway 41 in Sarasota and Manatee counties, you will often see these things called aromatherapy spas.
Okay.
Massage spas. Now, not actual massage, right? The massage places don't need to have neon lights and aren't open at midnight, okay? Yeah. I mean, there's legitimate massage, and then there's these places. Now, I can only presume, right?
Jack Shacks, as some people might call them.
That's what they may call them. Yeah. I can't say I have a great deal of experience in this particular area, but I suspect that something besides aromatherapy goes on in these places, that there might be a little more than lingerie modeling, you know?
Yep.
And because these places, ostensibly are about something that's legal, it's legal to model lingerie in front of somebody.
It is.
For money.
That's right.
Obviously, prostitution is not legal, but you have to, they have to find proof. They have to send a police officer in, and, that police officer has to establish a price and that, a service, and I presume all of these things. And every once in a while, every couple years, they might take one of these out of the dozens of them down. I suspect it means they haven't paid off the right bureaucrat, but that's just me guessing.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. For whatever reason, that's not what. And why would they? Why would we focus our valuable public service protection service at taking down these places that have consensual services where people participate in stuff that they're all adults? Why would we?
It's crazy. I mean, they raided Backpage.com and took the entire site down yesterday. And they arrested multiple people behind the site and have charged them with all kinds of crimes. So, I mean, even though everybody that was involved there is involved completely consensually, it's because there's still this Puritan push against prostitution here in the United States.
It's not worth our tax dollars.
Let's go to your calls and thoughts here. Melanie, first up in Indiana, listening to WIBC. Hello, Melanie.
Hello.
Hey there. You're on the air.
Oh, great.
Yes.
I talked to your screener. I think this is going to. I think this whole thing is nuts. I am a Republican, Trump supporter, and I think this deal with anything that President Trump did prior to 10, 15 years ago, I don't believe should be held against him. And I'm even going to go out on a limb and say that Al Franken should not have been forced to resign because of what he did 10 years ago, or however many years ago it was. I don't think you should be held for your past mistakes because people change. I'm sure Franken's outlook changed when he became a senator, and if he was continuing, then that's one thing. But I don't believe that you should be held responsible for what happened prior to your political aspirations. Then
you would agree that that should apply across the board, to where this new
Absolutely.
bill that Trump may be signing will hold website operators responsible for things that happened in the past.
Well, and I don't believe that is legal. I feel like if you're continuing to do X, Y, or Z, then that's one thing after a law is passed.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were not, quote unquote, breaking a law, then you can't be held responsible for that.
Now, as a conservative, Melanie, do you believe in the free market?
Absolutely.
So then you would agree that prostitution should be completely legalized, that this road that they're going down to criminalize speech on the internet in an attempt to crack down on prostitution nationwide is a terrible, misguided effort.
I'm not going to go out and say that, because I think in some prostitution rings there is sex trafficking, and that is against the law.
Well, that's different than prostitution, right? So like you have prostitution, which is a consensual activity between adults, and then you have sex trafficking, which is enslavement.
Yeah, I think that that one would have to look very closely at this. But Germany recently, relatively recently, a few years ago, legalized prostitution.
And I was actually born in Germany.
Oh, were you? And now they have these brothels, and the gals, they have to audition or put in applications to be prostitutes at these places. It's long hours, there's no doubt, but the pay's pretty good. And I don't think that people can make the argument too easily that those people are sex trafficked.
Right, just because, and thank you, Melanie, for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. Just because prostitution is legal doesn't mean that legalizes slavery. So we can have prostitution being completely legal and slavery still illegal. So therefore, sex trafficking would still be illegal because, again, that's done to people without their consent. And that's a real crime. More coming up here in moments. It's Free Talk Live.
Face it, today's electric power grid is more vulnerable than ever. From natural disasters to EMP attacks and hacking, the grid could be crippled for days or even decades in the most dire scenarios. Visit quantumharvest.net to see our built-to-last EMP-protected solar power systems. While millions suffer, you'll have vital power for water pumps, refrigeration, and sanitation. Now that's peace of mind. EMP-protected solar power systems for every need and budget. See our full range at quantumharvest.net.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Free Talk Live.
There's only one place you could have sex without everybody else knowing about it. That's in the bathroom. Unless you want to go back into the crew quarters, which might give you bonus points. The Mile High Club awards you, I suppose, based on the amount of times that you've entered into the club. Not only do you want to be in the club, you want to be the top dog.
Yeah,
right?
you got to be a premier member.
So I would think there'd have to be points for location on the plane, who you encountered with. Were you there with your girlfriend? Did you take her into the bathroom? Did you manage to get a stewardess into the bathroom with you? Did you manage to get the girl that you just happened to be sitting next to on the plane? I mean, so all of these things could be worth.
Oh, man. To be a part of the Mile High Club, what's the criteria?
You have to
copulate in the air.
Yeah.
What defines copulation? Who has to have an orgasm? Does there have to be an orgasm?
Or do you just have to stick it in and pull it out?
Is it just penetration? Bam, bam. We're out of here. Mile High Club, give me my card.
Yeah.
You know?
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com. The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. We invite you on the radio. You can take control of the airwaves and bring up anything that you want. Here with us, Ian.
And Mark.
And if you want to reach people with the ideas of liberty, you can do it from the back of your car with libertystickers.com. You can reach thousands of people with a bumper sticker, and you know that people love to read them. You can check out the vast selection of witty, poignant, pithy, and downright bombastic liberty-oriented messages at libertystickers.com. Once again, that's libertystickers.com as we continue here with the government of the United States on the verge of passing. The House and the Senate have already overwhelmingly passed it. The SESTA, FOSTA acts, which will significantly restrict freedom of speech on the internet in the United States under the guise of going after sex trafficking. And what they're really doing is just trying to liken any prostitution to sex trafficking and then holding website operators to be legally responsible for what their users post, which was bad enough when they went after Ross Ulbricht for doing the very same thing, basically with his underground website, the Silk Road,
right,
where drugs were allowed to be sold.
If you don't hold the line for the most despicable, in your opinion, abuses of speech, then the line isn't held, right? Like, sorry, freedom of speech means freedom of speech.
Which is where
I'm not talking about violence. Yep. I'm not talking about yelling things on private property like fire in a crowded movie theater. If you yell fire in a crowded movie theater, I believe speech, that you're responsible for the consequences of speech. If you yell fire, and by the way, I have yelled fire in a crowded movie theater, and turns out people don't listen to that. But
was there an actual fire?
No.
Well, why the hell did you do it?
Just stood up to prove the point that people don't listen to idiots that yell fire.
Oh, okay. But if there was smoke, they probably would have listened.
Well, that's because there's a fire.
Right. Anyway, the point of all this, Mark, is that...
Are you telling me that you shouldn't yell fire in a crowded movie theater if there's smoke?
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Okay.
I'm saying you shouldn't yell fire if there's no smoke, and that's what you did.
I did.
Yeah, you're a jerk.
Well, no surprise there.
But anyway...
But we now have empirical data.
That's a rule of the private theater. They don't want you yelling in their movie theater for no reason. So that has nothing to do with freedom of speech. Freedom of speech has everything to do with what the government disallows. If it's private property, then the private property owner gets to decide what is and what is not allowed. So, this is our show. We don't let you say certain words here. And it's not because of the FCC, although they're part of the reason. It's because some stations don't want certain words on their air. And we protect them from those words. But anyway, the point that I'm getting at here is, as you said, Mark, if you value freedom of speech, you have to defend it. You have to defend it when it's being committed by people that you don't like, when it's being committed by, when ideas are being propagated that you don't want to hear. You have to stand by freedom of speech, or at least if you purport to care about it. And the people who purport to care about it sometimes are the news media, given that they're kind of tied right into that whole First Amendment with the protection of the freedom of the press, along with the freedom of speech. And that's where Matt Welch is, he's done some counting regarding how the media has been covering this new legislation that threatens freedom of speech on the internet. You'd think they'd care about that. Well, according to his rundown, he looked at major editorials searching both Nexus and Google News for editorial and the Sex Trafficking Act, and also comparing it to the Sinclair Broadcasting fake news controversy. So how much coverage did the Sinclair, all of our media is the same, that news story that came out this week?
A great deal.
How much did that get compared to this potentially hugely chilling legislation on free speech that could destroy free speech on the internet and arguably has already begun to, even though it hasn't even passed yet? The Sex Trafficking Act had a total of 4 newspaper editorials that he could find. 2 of them were in favor of the Sex Trafficking Act. Sinclair Broadcast Story, 15 newspaper paper editorials, 14 of those 15 critical of the Sinclair Group, 5 of them supporting federal government intervention, and exactly 1 of them criticizing Sinclair while telling the feds to back off. So only 2 newspaper editorials out of 4 of them were against the Sex Trafficking Act. And as he points out here, the first one was the Orange County Register, which concluded that the Allow States and Victims to Fight Online Sex Trafficking Act is well-meaning, but wrong. As they point out, FOSTA's penalties not only use the precautionary principle to justify a sweeping suppression of consensual communication, they also force private online companies like Craigslist to unwillingly shoehorn the precautionary principle into their business model.
Yeah, I looked at this Craigslist situation. They pulled down every one of their personal
site, the whole thing.
Just, platonic, everything. They pulled it all down. And, now you can't find a Frisbee buddy because the Trump administration has decided that...
Frisbee could be code for something.
Right. Could very well. Who knows? Somebody's throwing, somebody's catching. I got no idea what's going on here. And that's, really ultimately what the problem is. And I can tell you this. When it comes to newspaper, radio, television, they hate each other. They just hate each other. And
I don't feel that way.
I know you. Right? You aren't all of radio, buddy.
No, but I'm on the radio, and I don't feel animosity towards the other media.
Radio has always been the stepbrother of major media. So newspaper lost major media status to television, not to radio, if that makes sense. Radio was certainly ubiquitous at a time, but newspapers were still the top dog.
Yeah.
When I got into radio back in the 90s, they told me to go after the advertisers in the newspaper. They didn't say watch the television. And the television was the top biller then, and so newspapers just taking shots here as they're this dying medium of dead trees and print on your fingers, morphs into something different. We need the journalism they got, but I don't think that the subscription-based newspaper model, daily newspaper model, is going to work much longer.
Let's go to your calls and thoughts here. Venkman is on the line in FEMA Region 9 on our AMP lines. Go ahead, Venkman.
I really hate to sound alarmist, and I really hope that I'm wrong. I think people got so up in an uproar over net neutrality, which I think is a joke. When you look at kind of all the facts, but this is right now it's sex trafficking. When the Democrats get in power, it's going to be guns. It's going to be gun sales on the internet. So I kind of believe this is the the end of internet. 1.0, 2.0, whatever era we've just finished. As soon as this thing is signed, I think you're gonna see a time where podcast producers posting podcasts with very negative things or anti-government things may be held to account for that content. I think anything where you have people calling in or people contributing their ideas, this is a complete choke of ideas. It completely retards the internet and its ability to share ideas freely. This legislation, I think it really is the end of the internet as we know it.
It's frightening.
And it starts with sex trafficking. It's going to take off from there.
Right, because who could be against sex trafficking? As I pointed out, Donald Trump, I don't know who's going to convince him to not sign this, because then it'll look like he's in favor of sex trafficking, right?
All you have to do is relabel some consensual act as something that is obviously abhorrent, and you're fine. That's it. It's good.
Say bye-bye to freedom of speech. And I don't think that you're exaggerating here, Venkman. I think that anybody who thinks that, oh, no, you don't have to worry, this is only going to apply to people who are doing prostitution, you do not understand how the government works. They pass a thing, then it's enforced by bureaucrats who have a completely different interpretation or intention behind their enforcement of it than what the original writings were. So even if the people who wrote it only intended for it to do X, Y, or Z, it will end up doing more than those things. And as we've seen, there's already fallout with Craigslist completely eliminating their personal section. And it's not a coincidence. It's because of this. That's the reason they did it. They're afraid of what's going to happen to their business. They're afraid they're going to be targeted as one of the primary, the government's going to send a message, right? Like go after some site to show the world they're serious about sex trafficking.
Certainly, and what's the saying? First they came for X, I did nothing. First they came for Y, or then they came for Y, I did nothing. Then they came for me. There's
no one to stand up for me.
Here. And I want to point something out. So you mentioned, and I could be wrong, you said the representatives of these people of the United States voted unanimously on this bill? Is that correct?
No, not unanimous, but darn close. 388 to 25 in the House and 97 to 2 in the Senate. Hang on, if you got another point to make on that, stand by. More with Venkman here in moments. This is Free Talk Live. You can join us here.
I've said it many times on air, and I'll say it here. The New Hampshire Liberty Alliance is one of the most important organizations for freedom in the world. New Hampshire is ground zero for freedom, and the NHLA is the best organization at promoting effective liberty activism. This ad is sponsored by Free Talk Live, and I, Mark Edge, am a lifetime member because I believe in the NHLA. Please check them out at nhliberty.org. Not everyone can move right now, but you can support the cause. Donate top cryptocurrencies or old-fashioned U.S. dollars, nhliberty.org. Visit their website and see what they're all about, nhliberty.org.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $9.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way.
You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, hey, who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today. This is...
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait
now.
Wait a minute.
Whoa.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me? Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Juicy Juice, 100% juice, providing a full serving of fruit in every 4 ounces. Visit us at juicyjuice.com. When it comes to nutrition, kids need both fruits and vegetables every day to stay healthy and grow. For the ideal mix, your kid should have at least 1.5 cups of any veggie or 100% veggie juice, and 1 cup of any fruit or 100% fruit juice a day. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up whatever you want right here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733 with you tonight. It's Ian.
And Mark.
Freedom of speech dying to thunderous applause from the very people that are supposedly in favor of it. The news media has been doing virtually nothing to cover, and if they are covering, have been in favor of the Sex Trafficking Act that is preparing to be passed by Donald Trump. Hopefully he'll veto it because he's the last hope at this point. The Senate and the House have overwhelmingly passed this thing, and it is going to, and already is, even though it hasn't passed yet, resulting in a chilling of freedom of speech on the internet, with Craigslist taking down their entire personals section of their website. Now, of course, that just means that some people are going to try to hide the personals somewhere else, or they're going to go underground, or we're going to see darknet marketplace websites going into personal ads, which you want to talk about making sex trafficking more dangerous. Go ahead, shove it further underground.
That's right. Put it on the street.
Idea. It's already in the streets to some extent, but
but that's where the worst of it is.
Right. And it's going to get worse now, guaranteed, because the more the government prohibits, the more dangerous and the more criminals will get involved in it. But we're going to go back to your calls and your thoughts. It's Ian and Mark here in the studio on this live Saturday edition of the show. And I do want to let you know about Liberty.menu. Thankfully, they have not taken down their site at this point. Liberty.menu allows you to advertise your business, whatever it might be. If you're a liberty-friendly individual, if you're somebody who is an individual who rejects the initiation of force and agrees to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle, this site is for you, whether you're a business owner or you're a potential customer. You're just looking for, maybe you want to find out who in your area is also a liberty-minded business. So go and get your business listed. It's free to do it over at liberty.menu. And it's free to use. It's free to put as many different items on there as you want to. So a lot of entrepreneurs, they've got more than one project that they're working on. Go ahead, add them all to liberty.menu. And also, it's good for libertarian or liberty events as well as digital content. So content creators can use liberty.menu. And you can use code FTL on your account, and you'll get a special Free Talk Live badge. So head on over to liberty.menu. As we continue here, Venkman still had some comments about the overwhelming number of national U.S. reps and senators who voted for this oppressive legislation called SESTA FOSTA. That is, FOSTA stands for Allow States and Victims to Fight Online Sex Trafficking Act, where 388 people in the House voted for it, only 25 against, and 97 people in the Senate voted for and 2 against. Your comments, Venkman, go ahead.
So I incorrectly said unanimous, but that's pretty close to unanimous for me, so I'll call it close enough.
Yeah.
And I want to point something out. The people that are applauding this, the people that can hear my voice, understand that the end result or the next step is underground sex marketplaces. Sexual assaults will increase. They will certainly increase. And every single person that is applauding this move, those assaults are on your hand, undoubtedly. They are on your hand.
The Department of Justice.
Black market. This doesn't stop people from being people. This doesn't stop humans from being human beings and engaging in voluntary or, in sometimes, unfortunately, involuntary and voluntary acts. Those things will continue.
Yeah, no doubt. And the Department of Justice, to further your point, even argued against this. So the fact that you have the Department of Justice, who normally is embracing any kind of increase to the police state and crushing freedoms in the United States, even they had told the senators and the representatives, hey, this is not a good idea. In fact, for 2 reasons, I think they argued. One was that arguably the ex post facto factor here, that this is retroactively applicable, is clearly unconstitutional.
Yeah, that's nuts. But no surprise from the Trump administration.
But 2, they point out here that this will drive things further underground, which means it'll actually be harder to detect sex trafficking victims. Because right now, as you pointed out, Mark, some of the advertisements on the internet are probably for sex trafficked women, some small portion of them, or men, sex trafficking victims. And the idea being that if there's like photos of these people, maybe with their heads cropped out or whatever, their family members might be able to identify these people and like, oh my God, that's my sister who disappeared 3 months ago. We thought she was abducted or ran off. Or there she is in this advertisement. So there's things that you could identify if you were investigating and being able to actually see these advertisements openly, that now the Department of Justice is saying this is going to make it harder for us to find real sex traffic victims. But the government passed it anyway. So, again, just waiting for a Trump signature. Venkman, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. As we continue, we've got Larry in Indianapolis listening to WIBC. And the worst part is you've got the news media that is either just completely quiet about this and not reporting on it, or they're reporting in favor of it with newspaper editorials, a couple of them favoring this. Go ahead, Larry.
I think that you're looking at it from the wrong angle. Somebody lobbied for this message. Probably Craigslist lobbied for it.
Why would
they know that they have? Here's why they would lobby for it. They already have the information on all the Johns. They know what they like. They know their habits, and that's why they lobby for it. So that the government is now backing them with guns.
Why would Craigslist, knowing the habits of Johns, make them want to?
The Johns were making them money, I guess.
So that they could steal the customers. It's all about money.
How is Craigslist going to steal the customers? They're telling their customers they don't want them anymore. They're telling their customers
they got all the contacts. They can just start another company, take all that information, line up the Johns, tell them, come on, we know what you want. We got it for you right here, and it's legal the way we do it. So there's nothing that happens.
I don't think you're understanding how this is working, Larry.
No, hey, let me go a little bit. Let
this
me
is
go off
quite
and
a
left field
conspiracy
little
theory,
bit.
but go ahead.
No, I think that we are looking at the internet in totally the wrong way.
Okay.
Anytime you have a product or service that you're often offering on the internet and you monetize that, right? And you're making money off of it. Don't you think the purveyors of those websites and so forth are looking at that and thinking, how can we do just a little twerk in his message and capture it and sell it for ourselves?
Sure.
That's the way business operates, though. Nobody's on the up and up, especially on the internet. Facebook's done it. All these other companies is going to do it because when you have something on the internet that you have monetized, they come after those dollars that you're earning.
What is Craigslist's
they want all the money.
Business model here? I mean, I've used Craigslist before. I can't say I'm a dedicated user. There's been some things that we had to sell a while back, and I put them locally.
Right.
We wanted to sell them locally, so I put them up on Craigslist. I never had to pay anybody a dime for that. So how is it they're making money?
That's the initial. That's the initial to get people coming in, just like Facebook.
Okay,
people
are you
that
saying?
not know
Hold on, Larry. Are you speaking from experience, or are you speculating?
Well, I know about Craigslist, and I know about the internet.
Are you saying that you've used Craigslist and actually paid them for a service?
I have not used them because I won't
then
go
you're
there.
speculating. All right, thank you for the call tonight. I appreciate the speculation there, but it's not useful for somebody to say something's happening and then actually have no knowledge of that thing happening. So let's be clear: you don't know what you're talking about. I'd like to know, how exactly is Craigslist making money? Are they advertisement based, meaning that are there people who are paying for some sort of promotion on that site? Are there companies that are running banner ads on that site? It's always seemed to me to be a very bare bones, list of thing, not very pretty, just black and white kind of classifieds ads site where you don't actually have to pay to list, and you don't have to pay if you sell either.
You have to pay if you're a business that advertises a job.
Oh, really? Okay, job listings. All right. What about personals? Was those for pay?
I'm looking at that. I thought it was, but the article that I got here is
okay. So they've monetized some of the categories, but the idea that Larry was suggesting here is that they would take down their own personal section just so they could restart a new website just for personals. I mean, I guess they could, but they'd have to completely reorganize their business to be outside of the United States at this point. Because anybody who's running a personals website in the United States is a potential target for the federal government under this new legislation. That's why they shut down their personals. It's not some sort of plot to put it back online later. They said they'd like to come back, but they can't justify the money. What can you imagine having to actually have a staff of people to approve every single personals ad on Craigslist?
No, I can't imagine for a second. I'm reading from thecron.com, which is
Houston Chronicle.
Yeah, my favorite website title out there. It doesn't have a date on the article. Terribly sorry about that. But it says that besides posting a $25 fee for a job listing in 6 major cities, it charges $75 for a job listing in the San Francisco area. The company also charges $10 fee for a listing an apartment rental in New York.
Okay. All right. So they're monetizing apartments. They're
But it doesn't have anything to do with hookers, apparently.
Job listings. The toll-free number here is 855-450 free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We got plenty of time for you here on this live Saturday edition of Free Talk Live. Oh, and don't forget, I forgot to mention, we got the Discord on-air call-in line chat room where you can call and get on the air with us there at discord.lrn.fm. Plus, there's chats going on before, during, and after the show with listeners and co-hosts of Free Talk Live. More coming up.
What would your life be like if you woke up each morning with new vitality, feeling better than you have in years, and you noticed a difference in your sleeping patterns, blood sugar levels, and had a sense of well-being overall? There's something that is changing thousands of people's lives, and you could be one of them. It's called Heart and Body Extract. Sharon Harris, co-creator of Heart and Body Extract, talks about the positive effects of Heart and Body Extract.
What happens with the formula Heart and Body Extract is it's giving the body the necessary vitamins, minerals, amino acids, enzymes, and phytonutrients so the body will heal itself. And yes, the body does have the ability to balance blood pressure, balance cholesterol, clean and unclog the arteries. It can also work on balancing the circulation for diabetics. So the body is an amazing thing. It simply needs some help so it has the tools to heal itself.
Heart and Body Extract gets results. To order your 2-month supply, call now, toll free at 866-295-5305. Order online at hbextract.com.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, April 7th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.38 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,333 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $24, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,873. Antiwar.com reports amid growing concerns about mass starvation and lack of medical aid, the UN appears to be backing the Saudi blockade against northern Yemen, announcing they are adding a handful of additional inspectors to rummage through the cargo of aid ships trying to reach the coast. The Saudis are nominally blocking northern Yemen to prevent arms smuggling, though in practice the only arms their blockading ships have come up with were from boarded ships that insisted they weren't headed to Yemen in the first place. The UN says they will not inspect any ship headed to ports controlled by pro-Saudi forces, which is what the blockade really is, a punitive measure against civilians in the rebel territory. Lack of medicine has killed huge numbers of civilians in northern Yemen, causing several crises. Millions are facing malnutrition and potential starvation. The World Health Organization admitted as much, saying that there are thousands of pallets of aid waiting to be sent to northern Yemen. With only 10 UN inspectors, it's going to take quite some time for any of it to get there.
Are you looking for a cryptocurrency that has a focus on users and usability? Then look into Zencash. Zencash has the ability to use both transparent and shielded transactions, with shielded transactions using zero-knowledge proofs. Zencash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zensystem.io. That's zensystem.io.
UPI reports Ford announced 2 safety recalls on Friday, affecting about 350,000 of its popular selling pickups and full-size sports utility vehicles. The automaker said the recall affects 2018 model year F-150 pickups, F-650 and F-750 utility trucks, and Expedition SUVs. The first recall affects about 350,000 F-100 and Expedition models with 10-speed automatic transmissions, as well as F-650 and F-750 models with 6-speed transmissions. The vehicles were built at Ford truck plants in Michigan, Missouri, Kentucky, and Ohio. Ford said the vehicles have a transmission gear that may not be fully seated with a clip. Over time, the dislodged or broken clip could keep the transmission in the drive position, even though the shifter has been moved to the park position. Ford said there has been 1 reported accident and injury because of the issue. In the second recall, about 161 Ford F-150, Expedition, Mustang, and Lincoln Navigator models, all sold in 2018, may have a missing rolling pin in their 10-speed transmissions. The potential problem could similarly leave a car's transmission in drive when all indications signify it is in park. The company is not aware of any incidents related to the second recall.
For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports U.S. law enforcement agencies have seized the classified ad website Backpage.com as part of an enforcement action by the FBI, according to a posting on the Backpage website on Friday. Groups and political leaders working to end forced prostitution and child exploitation celebrated the shutdown of Backpage, a massive ad marketplace that some say is primarily used to sell sex. But some internet and free speech advocates warn the action could lead to harsh federal limits on expression and the press. The website posting said U.S. attorneys in Arizona and California, as well as the DOJ's section on child exploitation and obscenity, and the California and Texas attorneys general have helped shut down the website. The DOJ said late on Friday that a court in Arizona ruled the case remains sealed, which puts any legal information under wraps. In the posting about the seizure, the department had originally said more information would be made public on Friday evening. A Phoenix FBI official said there was a law enforcement activity in Sedona, Arizona, home of Michael Lacey, one of the founders of Backpage, but referred further inquiries to the DOJ. Backpage and advocacy groups say the ads are free speech protected by the U.S. Constitution. In 2016, Texas and California authorities raided the company's Dallas headquarters and arrested Chief Executive Carl Ferrer and other former company executives on pimping-related charges. The judge in that case ruled the website was protected by the First Amendment and it was not liable for the speech of third parties. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
The Dick Cheney Vice Presidential Library opens in a pitch-dark, sulfurous underground cave, and a seedless watermelon is coming to grips with the fact it'll never be able to have kids. This is the Onion Week in Review. Following a litany of tragedies occurring over the past year, a report this week from scientists at Princeton University confirmed that 90% of the Earth's atmosphere is now made up of thoughts and prayers. Researchers confirmed that with the rise of tragic events occurring all across the world each and every day, the Earth's atmosphere is 7% nitrogen, 3% oxygen, and 90% emotional pleas begging for everything to be okay. In other news, a new study finds nothing that will actually convince you to change your lifestyle, so just forget it. UMass Dartmouth is beginning to regret offering a course in applied domestic terrorism, and a sparrow thinks it might have caught the bird flu after puking seeds all morning. Stay tuned after the video for a brief tear in the fabric of space-time, offering a glimpse at next week's Onion Review. And keep checking theonion.com for more.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You can dial in here toll-free to bring up whatever you want to discuss. Our number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about the media's response, or lack thereof, to this very disturbing bill that is very nearly going to be passed. It was overwhelmingly passed by the Senate and the House over the last few weeks, and now it is sitting awaiting a signature, which so far the Trump administration seems to be indicating they intend to have Trump put on the document, which will make it so this law, the SESTA FOSTA Act, will essentially restrict freedom of speech on the internet to the extent to where anybody who's considered to be posting something that could be prostitution related, meaning like a personals ad with code words in it perhaps, could be, if there's 5 of those such posts by 5 different people on a website like, say, Craigslist, then the website operator will become legally liable for sex trafficking charges, both criminally and civilly liable. It's an incredible chilling of freedom of speech, and it's happening now in the so-called free country of the United States. And the media's response so far has been mostly to ignore it. Reason.com's Matt Welch went through a bunch of newspaper editorials, searching as much as he could to try to find these, whatever editorials the newspapers would have to post about this. And he only found 4 of them from major newspapers, and 2 out of the 4 were completely in favor of the Sex Trafficking Act, even though it runs roughshod over freedom of speech, which you would like to think that the media entities in the United States would support freedom of speech, but apparently not. It's their speech is fine, but your speech, can't have that. We need government to regulate that. And as was pointed out in the last hour, first they came for the prostitutes in this case. There's an old great poem by Pastor Martin Niemöller from the World War II era about how first they came for the communists, and I wasn't a communist, so I didn't speak up. And then they came for the trade unionists, and I wasn't a trade unionist, and there was some other third category.
I think it was Jews then.
Might have been. And then they came for me, and there was no one else around to speak up for me. And the same thing is happening today. Whereas instead, the news media appears to be more concerned with its competitors and what they're doing, like Sinclair Broadcasting. There were 15 newspaper editorials written over the same time period as the 4 editorials written about the Sex Trafficking Act, the 15 editorials written about Sinclair. Let's go to Kenny. He's in Chattanooga, Tennessee, listening to WGOW. Hello, Kenny.
Hey.
Hey.
So I think it was a brilliant move by the politicians to attach this to a sex trafficking bill, because who's going to vote against an anti-sex trafficking bill?
Right. It's just all about the names.
What media organization is going to speak out against a bill that claims to protect innocent children?
Well, to their credit, the Orange County Register and the LA Times were the 2 newspaper editorial boards who were against this horrifying legislation, and obviously we're firmly against it here on Free Talk Live. But yeah, you're right. The news media overwhelmingly is either just ignoring it or they're in favor of it.
Yeah, well, I'm actually on the whole prostitution thing. I'm in an interesting position because I'm both a fundamentalist Christian and a voluntarist. So while I think that prostitution is morally wrong, I also think that you have every right to participate in it if you wish to.
Right.
And
I think it may do.
Sin is something between you and your God.
Well, Jesus befriended the prostitutes. He didn't throw them in a cage.
Yeah, and I think that it probably does some irreparable harm to the psyche. But
I would agree.
So that's something. But they tend to conflate things a lot when it comes to these kind of bills, because you think about human trafficking versus sex trafficking, and they tend to combine those as well, even when things like people trying to sneak across the border into the United States. Now, it definitely puts those kind of people at greater risk of being violated. Especially when they're young girls trying to sneak across the border into the United States.
Sure.
But the lawmakers, they tend to treat human trafficking, which may just be smuggling someone across the border, with sex trafficking, when the 2 are not the same thing either. So
great points tonight, Kenny. Thanks for calling. I appreciate hearing from you. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. So Matt Welch over at Reason.com, he's the one who's focusing on this media inconsistency, the media ignoring threats to its own freedoms, because, again, they can start here, and then eventually they'll come out to other categories where they're going to, crack down on freedom of speech on the internet. So they're starting with the, prostitutes, because it's an easy position for them to take. Like, again, who could be against a bill that supposedly is going to crack down on sex trafficking? Well, in the case of the Kansas City Star, which, according to Reason.com, their mastheader doesn't even mention that a free speech objection exists to this law, instead exulting in the, quote, bipartisan win and, quote, how the fight was worth it, unquote. And here's the actual excerpt from Kansas City's editorial. Ever since the wildly lucrative world of sex trafficking moved from the streets to the internet, market leaders in the commercial sex advertising like Backpage have hidden behind an antiquated section of the Communications Decency Act. The act provided Backpage with what Senator Claire McCaskill called, quote, complete and total immunity from being held accountable for their bad behavior, unquote. And so the idea was that this bill is changing that particular Communications Decency Act, the section of what they call the Good Samaritan section, which essentially creates some carve-outs and some exemptions for website operators to not be held responsible for the content that their users create on their website, of which they may not even be aware that it exists.
I don't think that websites like Backpage can entirely absolve themselves for whatever complicity there is in the yuckiness that is prostitution. Now, look, I think prostitution should be legal because I think that you make it worse by making it illegal. But, you know, if you're a whoremonger, you're a whoremonger. Right? I don't have a particular problem with them being smeared with that brush. It's that when no one will come back and defend the right to freedom of speech. I don't think that everybody who was on Backpage was participating in whatever these activities were.
Of course not.
Ridiculous.
The majority of prostitution is completely consensual. The supermajority. Go talk to any prostitute who's a professional, and we've seen them testify. You haven't been at any of these hearings, but Daryl and I have gone to the State House.
We had a prostitute on the air for an hour when we were at Acapulco, and she seemed pretty compliant.
She's a pro.
Yeah,
and
she was a pro.
She talked
very frankly about her job.
Well, she was from Toronto anyway, so she's not even in the United States, because it's dangerous to be a prostitute in the United States.
Right.
And but anyway, the prostitutes that has
Wasn't
testified
she some kind of scientific researcher and that decided the money was better in prostitution?
I don't recall.
Yeah, she was some kind of bio.
She was a smart lady. There's no doubt about it. But anyway, the prostitution in the United States is clearly illegal. It's a danger to the women that participate in it and men, but they still are willing to do it because people are willing to flout the law no matter what. This is their calling for whatever reason. This is what they want to do. This is the service that they want to provide. And what I was trying to point out was if you actually go to these hearings where sex workers who are professionals, who are willing to show themselves, come out and testify, they'll tell you sex trafficking on the streets, sex trafficking in their industry is very, very small. It doesn't really, it almost barely exists.
I think that, yes, but I don't know if they would know. Right? Like, what's a prostitute know about other prostitutes? It's like asking me about the Jim Bohannon show. I really don't know that much about it.
Well, but you've met Jim Bohannon.
I have. He seems like a nice guy.
If Jim Bohannon was
he's protectionist, but he's a nice guy.
But my point is, you've met Jim Bohannon because all the talk show people go to talk show conventions and, you kind of end up meeting people. And the same thing's true to some extent of prostitutes. They still encounter one another on the streets, for instance. And there's some level of, I'm sure not everybody knows everybody, but in a smaller place, you're likely to know who the girls are that are working a certain street or whatever. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. You can take control of the airwaves. You can bring up what you want. You can also interview the Johns. They don't tend to come to the hearings because, again, everybody's afraid of being arrested.
Right. Seems like a bad idea.
Go ahead, interview the Johns. Ask them how often they come across slave girls. That's something that people have to specifically look for. It's not just something that you just get offered to you.
Yuck.
More coming up.
This is Daryl W. Perry, host of Free Talk Live. This November, I'll be running in the world's biggest and most popular marathon, the New York City Marathon, and I've accepted a spot on Team Innocence Project because I'm a passionate supporter of their work. Since 1989, 353 people in the United States have been exonerated by DNA testing, including 38 who pled guilty to crimes they did not commit, and 20 of whom served time on death row. The Innocence Project provided direct representation or critical assistance in 180 of these cases.
With your help, the Innocence Project can help even more people who have been wrongly convicted. As part of Team Innocence Project, I am raising awareness about wrongful convictions and raising funds to help free the innocent. I've already paid the race registration fees. However, to secure my spot on Team Innocence Project in the New York City Marathon, I need to raise $3,500 by November 1st. You can support the Innocence Project and help me secure my race entry by going to run.freetalklive.com.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
Cryptocurrencies are successful because of good technology. The liberty-loving voluntarists who founded Zencash in 2017 took the best tech, like zero-knowledge anonymity and decentralized autonomous organizations, and are creating a secure platform for money, messages, and media that can be sent to anyone, anywhere in the world. Zencash is a cryptocurrency dedicated to peace, anonymity, and decentralization. Find out more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper, FPP News, at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. Dial toll free. Bring up whatever you want. Our number here is 855-450 free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. And we do have Skype, so feel free to Skype in and join us at Skype username lrn.fm, or hop on into the Discord on-air call-in line room. You can do that over at discord.lrn.fm. Discord, by the way, is our chat service where you can chat with other Free Talk Live listeners and some of the hosts, sometimes before, during, and after the show, all for free over at discord.lrn.fm. The best way to get in there is to just go download the app first and then click on discord.lrn.fm in your web browser, and it'll pop right in and authorize you to get into our server. That's the fastest way to do it. And the app is available for Android, for iOS, for Windows, for Mac, for Linux. So pretty much any operating system you might be using. Discord.lrn.fm. Also, I do want to let you know about Zencash. Privacy is going to become more and more important, especially as the government continues to crack down on freedom of speech on the internet. The good news is Zencash is there to help you cover up your private transactions of both money and messages. Zencash has a private platform that you can use to send its cryptocurrency, Zen, and also encrypted messages over. They've got more than 8,000 secure nodes in their system, meaning that Zencash is one of the most secure networks of any cryptocurrency out there. And one of the other cool things about it is it was founded by voluntarists, founded by liberty-loving people who actually care about freedom, and they actually even wrote into their white paper the ideas of voluntarism. So check it out over at zencash.com. Do your due diligence. You know, there's a lot of choices in the world of cryptocurrency. This is one of the ones we like, zencash.com. As we continue here, we'll take David's call from New Mexico. He's on Skype. Go ahead, David.
Hey, the things you're talking about. First of all, let me go back to your promo about Mile High Club.
Do we talk about the the promo? Yeah. So that's a Free Talk Live 60-second promo for the show. That's actually from a really old episode of the show about the Mile High Club. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Without any juicy details, I once kept getting the eye. I mean, a girl I met on the flight going across the Atlantic Ocean. If one of the nosy flight attendants wouldn't have kept checking up on us, we probably would have.
That's why they did it.
Hold on.
Yeah,
the two of you went into the bathroom and you got checked on, or you never made it into the bathroom?
No, heck no. I would never go. I wouldn't be interested in doing it in the bathroom, but the plane was empty enough that we basically had
the plane. Now, that's got to be worth, because the discussion we had was about points. There was apparently a point system. So I would guess if you could actually do it in the plane itself without having to go into a secluded bathroom, that should be worth more points than just the bathroom.
It was obviously some time ago with the way the new seats are set up. I can't imagine two people could be in one seat at all.
You can raise up some of the arms.
Yeah. You could.
Depending on which, I don't know if it's every airline that has the raisable arms, but sometimes they have those.
Yeah, the flights used to be more empty back in those days than they are nowadays. And another cool thing to do. Yeah, I used to fly for a living, but so explain some of it. Put the autopilot on, and if you're the only two in the airplane, you put the autopilot on and then go in the back of the airplane.
That doesn't
that's
sound
kind of a bizarre.
like it's a very safe idea.
It's fine.
Thanks for the call tonight, David. Toll-free number here is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Would you rather have a drunken pilot or a pilot that's completely gone out of the cockpit into the back to have sex with his co-pilot or navigator?
I suspect that most commercial air flights are largely driven by autopilot.
You think so?
Yeah.
Could be right. Let's continue here. James is in Chattanooga, Tennessee, listening to WGOW on FM. Hello, James.
Hey, how you doing this afternoon?
Great. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm a pilot, so I've got a comment to make about the pilot situation. And trust me, you don't want a drunken pilot.
No, I would not think so.
Yeah, a pilot that's absent for a little while for whatever reason is better than having a drunken pilot.
All right, very good.
All right, number two. Remember the guy that called in on talking about the Craigslist situation?
Yeah, the guy who believed that Craigslist was taking down their personals so they could launch another personal site, even though the government is basically going to target sites like Craigslist for having personals.
Yeah, and you were pretty rough on him because you pointed out that hey, you don't list things on Craigslist. You don't really have any firsthand knowledge of this. You don't really know what you're talking about. And I've noticed that tendency among a lot of talk show radio hosts. And I just want to point out that I was listening to you talking about prostitution, and you had a lot of opinions, and you made a lot of statements. And have you personally used a prostitute?
I personally have never used a prostitute. But that doesn't mean I can't have an opinion as to whether or not it should be legal, does it?
It's not the sort of.
Have you worked as a prostitute?
It's not the sort of question that people. Yes, as a matter of fact, he has. It's not the sort of question you'll get most people to, answer honestly anyway.
Well, that is an honest answer, though. But look, whether or not I've participated in prostitution, I certainly know people who have. And thirdly, even if I didn't, why should I not be able to have an opinion about its legality?
Well, why can't he have an opinion about Craigslist?
Oh, he certainly can. I just pointed out that his opinion is complete speculation. There's no basis for it.
Your opinion about that prostitutes, maybe high-class prostitutes, happen to know a lot of street prostitutes.
I didn't say that at all.
Prostitution is a terrible problem in the United States. It's a blight on our society, and it should be against the law, in my opinion.
How would you get rid of it? I mean, obviously the laws that they've had against prostitution. By the way, this country was built by people who had legal access to prostitution. But nonetheless, how would you get rid of it?
It destroys families. It's
what if it's single?
Very corrosive. prostitution is a terrible, terrible blight on our society.
Well, you've said that before, but
you've repeated it.
For one thing, you enforce the laws and you don't slap them on the wrist every time that they're picked up.
So you're saying throw them away, lock them up, throw away the key.
I imagine a lot of
punishment.
Imagine a lot of sex-trafficked young women are just dying to get into the legal system that you're referring to here, where they get thrown into jail for the next 10 years.
All I'm saying is that we've got to control it. It's corrosive. It destroys families. It's bad news.
Okay, you've called it corrosive a few times, and you've claimed it destroys families. I've asked you, what if only single people participated in it for whatever reason, and you won't address that either.
So you're saying that the family unit would not be destroyed if prostitution didn't exist. So therefore, all the men who are cheating on their wives, the women who are cheating on their husbands.
I did not say that.
Well, how is it destroying families?
Many things destroying families.
How is it destroying families? Give me an example.
A husband that strays and visits a prostitute.
So as long as he strays and doesn't pay for the service, that's totally fine then, right?
Oh, no. I didn't say the prostitute.
Well, then what the hell's the difference?
Corrosive and destroys family.
Should we crack down on adultery too?
Adultery is a terrible thing. Right now I'm dealing with a very close friend of mine whose marriage of 37 years is in turmoil because of the fact that he had an affair.
What should the sentence be?
Children and grandchildren.
So should he go to jail?
No, he shouldn't go to jail. I wouldn't say that.
But he should go to jail if he paid for the sex?
I think it should be against the law. Prostitution should be against the law.
Yeah, you've repeated yourself. So you believe your friend should go to jail if he paid a woman for sex? Oh, so people who pay for sex shouldn't go to jail, but it should be against the law?
I think adultery is sin, and I think prostitution is sin. And I think prostitution it should be against the law. Right. It is against the law.
Things that are against the law, people go to jail
shouldn't, like we learn this from the Bible. You shouldn't try to enforce your religion on other people.
Thanks for the call tonight, James. Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. A little inconsistent there. 855-450-FREE like freedom. It's Free Talk Live.
Face it, today's electric power grid is more vulnerable than ever. From natural disasters to EMP attacks and hacking, the grid could be crippled for days or even decades in the most dire scenarios. Visit quantumharvest.net to see our built-to-last EMP-protected solar power systems. While millions suffer, you'll have vital power for water pumps, refrigeration, and sanitation. Now that's peace of mind. EMP-protected solar power systems for every need and budget. See our full range at quantumharvest.net.
Hear that? That's the sound of a house being trashed while a gang of thieves ransack the place. And what they don't steal will be destroyed.
This year, resolve not to be the next victim of a break-in. Go to faketv.com and discover a device that creates the illusion someone inside is watching TV, even when you're miles away. Security is a mindset, and Fake TV should be part of your security solution. Be vigilant, but not fearful. faketv.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can take control of the airwaves. Toll free at 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We do have Skype. Skype username LRN.FM. Joining you here tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
Mark, who's sounding a little sick there.
Sorry.
Thanks for coming in tonight. You didn't have to, but I appreciate it. But we're talking about prostitution right now. We actually had a caller a few moments ago who purported himself to be a good Christian man, and he wanted to make prostitution illegal. Well, I don't know, Mark. A Christian is supposed to be somebody who emulates Christ, and Christ was more likely to be friends with the prostitutes and try to persuade them rather than advocating that men with spears come and take them away and hang them from crosses or whatever it was that happened to prostitutes.
Christianity as it exists today has been perverted from the the language of love that it was in the 1st and 2nd and 3rd centuries. By the 10th century, I think it was the 11th century, popes were declaring war, and all the peaceful aspects of Christianity.
Who would Jesus kill?
Right, had sort of been done away with the incorporation of pagans in the north and that sort of thing. So there was, to some extent, a merging of Jesus and Woden and these sorts of gods, as there were later on. I don't blame a person from attempting to, blame a person for attempting to, be good by the standard of their religion. I understand completely. But Christianity, if you read the Bible, is pretty clear. You can't be moral unless you can make a choice. God gave Adam and Eve a choice. Now, there was punishment to it, there's no doubt, but you need to be able to. But that's God's business.
So what you're saying is
God says that if you are sinless, you can cast the first stone. Yeah. And the best I can tell, none of us are. So therefore, when it comes to crimes that have no victim, or at least the victim is indeterminate, as it were, nobody should be throwing stones. This is. This is the business of the person and their relationship with God as it exists at that moment. You're not going to have somebody come to God until they've had that bottom of the barrel moment. They've got to have whatever it is for them. They got to have that moment when they're like, wow, I'm out of control. I've got nothing that can save me here. I need someone or something. That's why they say there's no atheists in foxholes. Look, not to disparage any of the atheists who are listening. I'm just saying it's the reason that they say such a thing. And I understand, but let's be clear. You can't take half of the religion and apply it. Christianity today is obsessed with sexuality and has very little concern with the rest of the sins, it would appear. Pride, Avarice? I mean, good Lord. What Christian is worrying about, whether they're prideful or not?
Let's go to your calls and thoughts here. Bobby is on the line in Chesapeake, Virginia, listening to WNIS. Hello, Bobby.
Hey, brothers. How are you guys doing tonight? Really enjoying the show.
Thanks. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Actually, pretty cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, really cool to be on the air with you guys tonight. Hey, listening to the conversation, I can't help but think about an old George Carlin routine where George is talking about prostitution and the legality of it. And he makes a really interesting point, is that having sex is legal.
Yep.
Selling is legal. Why is selling sex illegal?
Yep.
I don't know.
I mean, it's a free market. It's a free market country.
It should be.
It's
not.
Why is it illegal to sell something that nobody cares if you give it away?
Because it's easy to go after people who are poor. And that's what it tends to be for prostitutes. You're telling a young lady whose greatest asset at that moment in time, as she sees it, is the ability to prostitute herself. Look, I'm not. I think it's probably not a good choice. Although I would say that there's probably 1% of the female population out there that has the emotional fortitude to handle prostitution.
Some of those women out there would tell you they put themselves through college with their prostitution business.
Yep. And I'll tell you right now, as a single man in America, whether you're paying for it up front or you're paying for it on the backside, you always pay for it.
There you go. Good call, Bobby. Anything else you want to share?
No, I appreciate you guys.
Great
man.
call,
you keep
man.
doing what you're doing.
We will. Thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate it.
Bobby's ruining his future marriage with his whoremongering.
Well, the caller prior to Bobby in the last segment had talked about how a good Christian he was, and the government needs to outlaw prostitution. It needs to crack down. It needs to really sentence these people.
Yep.
But then he talked about how it's ruining families or whatever, and I asked him for a specific example, and he talked about how men who might be cheating on their wives might be doing it with a prostitute, and then gave an example about his friend who was cheating on his wife, and now their marriage is in the ditch, but it wasn't with a prostitute. He was just cheating.
He just didn't know how to address that issue. He hadn't spent any time thinking about that.
Right, and that's the thing. People don't think about this. They don't realize that, as our caller pointed out, sex is legal. So is he talking about abolishing or outlawing any adultery? Because we've had that law in this country. That has existed. Adultery has been illegal at certain points in the past.
It's still illegal in some states, but they don't generally enforce it.
Right.
The prostitution's legal in parts of the United States and ignored in parts of the United States.
The idea that outlawing something gets rid of it is ridiculous, because we know that's not true. Right? Look at all the things that have been outlawed. Drugs, gambling, prostitution, guns, all these things are outlawed. You can still get them as long as you're willing to go ahead and ignore whatever the law is and say, you know what, I'm willing to take this risk. It's an extra risk, because having a prostitute already has its own risks involved in it, sexually transmitted diseases and things like that. But then, driving it underground actually increases the chances that you're going to get an STD and that kind of thing.
What's the saying when it comes to guns? If you outlaw guns, only outlaws will have guns. If you outlaw prostitution, only outlaws do prostitution. Prohibition works the same in any victimless crime. Yes, there are prohibitions on crimes with victims. If we focused on that and stopped worrying about the rest, imagine what we could do with our law enforcement community.
A man or woman in a relationship, in a marriage, as our caller was pointing out, that decides to step out of that agreement, to violate their agreement, their marriage agreement, and to go to a prostitute. The idea that wouldn't even happen if prostitution were prostitution in that case is a symptom of the problem, right? The person in the marriage is unhappy for some reason. The person in the marriage would like to get their sexual satisfaction somewhere else. So they decide to either do that by finding a consensual partner to cheat with that they don't have to pay for up front, or finding a prostitute that they can cheat with that they do have to pay for up front. Ultimately, something is going to happen if that person's unsatisfied. The marriage, something's wrong there between those two people. If prostitution disappeared tomorrow off the face of the planet, that wouldn't solve your friend's problems with the marriage.
So if we simplify this down, and I'm sure plenty of people would agree with the simplification, and plenty of people would disagree. If we say that, men are in relationships for sexual gratification and women are in relationships for emotional gratification. I don't believe it's that way, but let's just go ahead and simplify it down. I temper my behavior. I am an angry, mean jerk. Is that true, Ian?
Yeah.
Okay. I temper my behavior with you and with my wife because I know that ultimately you can find a different friend and she can find a different husband.
That's true.
I try to control my behavior as a result. Imagine if you were stuck in a relationship and the only friendship that you could get, my wife, the only husbandship she could get was with me because friendship and relations were outlawed. I would probably be a bit more of a jerk.
Yeah,
right? Is that possible?
I can see that, yeah.
It would, maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. But let's say this. It would incentivize jerkhood.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're doing when you say that men, and the caller used men, women, have used prostitutes now and then too. Certainly not at the same level men do.
Correct.
But when you say men can't just go out and get sexual satisfaction by paying some money and getting it real quick, then you incentivize, from what I can tell, bad behavior on the part of the wife. I'm not saying that this is how my relationship is, to the contrary. But I'm just saying if we simplify things down, you can see a correlation between the two situations.
You're saying more sexual freedoms would correlate to
better relationships.
Yeah. All right, more coming up here in moments. 855 450 free like freedom. If you want to join us here, your comments, your thoughts, welcome. You can also jump into our Skype at Skype username lrn.fm or hop in the Discord chat. There's a Discord on-air call-in line at discord.lrn.fm. This is Free Talk Live.
Zencash is an end-to-end encrypted system with zero-knowledge technology over which communications, data, or value can be securely transmitted and stored. With over 7,500 secure nodes, Zencash has one of the most distributed node systems of any cryptocurrency. Zencash is a platform for cryptocurrency and communications built by voluntarists for voluntarists, with the ideas of voluntary interaction being written into the white paper no less than half a dozen times. Learn more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Face it, today's electric power grid is more vulnerable than ever. From natural disasters to EMP attacks and hacking, the grid could be crippled for days or even decades in the most dire scenarios. Visit quantumharvest.net to see our built-to-last EMP-protected solar power systems. While millions suffer, you'll have vital power for water pumps, refrigeration, and sanitation. Now that's peace of mind. EMP-protected solar power systems for every need and budget. See our full range at quantumharvest.net.
Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the best for you and your family. Since 2005, thousands have depended on Berkey purified water. The Berkey Guy provides the lowest priced filtration systems in every size. For incredibly delicious water now and in an emergency, get to goberkey.com or call 877-886-3653. 877-886-3653. goberkey.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Bring up what you want right here. Live Saturday edition of the program. You can take control of the airwaves at 855-450-FREE like freedom. 855-450-3733. Free Talk Live is brought to you by Bitcoin.com. Great website to go and get started down into the wide world of Bitcoin. It is a cryptocurrency that started the whole craze. It started back in 2009 by Satoshi Nakamoto, the anonymous creator. Learn the history, learn the basics, learn about Bitcoin over at Bitcoin.com. And if you aren't so new and you just want to get the latest Bitcoin-related headlines from around the globe, drop into their news site at news.bitcoin.com. Once again, that's bitcoin.com. As we go to your phone calls and thoughts, we've been talking about prostitution and the crazy new federal government law that's cracking down on supposedly sex trafficking, but ultimately is going to end up cracking down on freedom of speech on the internet. Kim in Columbus, Indiana, listening to WIBC. You're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Hello. I was listening to your points on this, people trying to enforce prostitution and many other crimes, and the fact that most of the time it wouldn't work or people would go out of their way to ignore it. But I thought about if there was legislation that obviously tried to push and make prostitution illegal or more enforced, how would that affect the pornography industry? The answer is it wouldn't. And it would, because what would be the real difference between a woman having sex with a man she never met for money versus a woman having sex with a man for a porno?
Indeed. The difference being that there's a camera present, I suppose. But yes, there's very, very subtle lines of differentiation there. And just to be clear, in most states it is illegal to film pornography, with the exception, as I understand it, of California and New Hampshire.
However, I would like to point this out. Pornography has been legal in New Hampshire for probably about a half a decade. And I
feel like it's been more than that, but
okay.
Anyway, go ahead.
At least a half a decade. Yeah. And I feel like I have never heard of a story of pornography being produced in New Hampshire.
Well, you wouldn't necessarily hear about that.
The only story I've heard is that somebody posted on a local Craigslist that they were trying to film some porn when in fact all they wanted to do was do exactly what you said. And the local police pretended to be some gal who was down for this, and then they convinced him to try it out without a camera first and then arrested him.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, Mark, but you don't necessarily hear those things through the grapevine because porn production doesn't really go on Front Street, right? They don't hang a big sign up to let you know they're filming a porn down the street from you.
Just saying.
They just do it. So I can think of, off the top of my head, at least a couple of people within the libertarian community here who are porn actresses.
Okay, so it gets done here?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah. I'm so glad that you understand the dirty underbelly of New Hampshire, because they said that there was an opioid crisis in this town, and I'm like, wow.
Anyway, Kim, other thoughts you want to share? Please, go ahead. Kim?
My other thought was in the porn, if they tried to specifically make more legislation that a woman can't have sex for money, wouldn't that make, in a way, pornography illegal in all the states at the very same time?
If they did it at a federal level, yeah, it probably would.
Yeah, and I mean, you would have to ask yourself, according to the Constitution, I'm sure that many of the people who want to see pornography and prostitution illegal, are fans of what they would call the Constitution. But where in the Constitution does it give the right to the federal government to dictate this sort of thing? And I would posit that the fact that alcohol was made illegal through a constitutional amendment, that would be the only way that they would be able to do that. And of course, they don't have the juice to get that done.
Kim, thank you.
Exactly, because it's really not their problem on the issue.
Indeed. And the federal government needs to stay out of this. Let it be a state's issue where, hopefully we'll see more states with some sanity rolling back laws on prostitution like they did in Nevada, or at least parts of Nevada. Thank you for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. In fact, Singularity in the chat room on the Discord, Mark, reminds me that there's at least one Free Talk Live former co-host who was in a pornography that I can think of, and I've seen it, so I know that it happened.
How does this stuff escape me? I mean, why? You people, why would you let something like this happen and not let me know? I want to know.
You didn't know about
I
it.
want to be in the circle. I want to know about you people and your depredations and your dirty, dirty stuff. I want to know. I like gossip.
It was called Reardon porn. I don't know if the site is still out there, but it was gay pornography, Mark. So that might give you a clue as to which host it was.
I suspect I know which ex-host we're talking about at this point.
All right, so $8.55, $4.50 free, and I think they were charging cryptocurrency for it. So going on, we'll continue with your calls and thoughts here. Mark in Indianapolis, listening to WIBC. Go ahead, Mark. You're on Free Talk Live.
How are you guys doing?
Hey, you're on the air. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Well, I'm a poor white conservative libertarian kind of person, and I'm a Christian, but I think I don't think prostitution should be illegal.
Good man.
I think it's ridiculous. It just makes no sense. And I think drugs should be totally legal, and I think prostitution should be legal. But the gun thing would, the drugs. It would put the jails out of business. I think that's the main reason that drugs are illegal.
Yeah, they absolutely provide an unending stream of people to get locked up in the prison system, which of course justifies the prison wardens and the private prison owners to continue to justify building more and expanding the existing prisons so they can hire more staff and increase their budgets.
Yeah, you really can't even talk about racial justice in this country without talking about the drug war either.
Yeah, totally agree with you, Mark. And that's truly, if you are a Christian to be like Jesus, then who would Jesus lock up for their consensual acts? I mean, he would talk to them, he would persuade them, but he wouldn't use a cage and a taser or whatever.
Well, you shouldn't judge if you're a Christian.
Indeed,
that's God's job.
You are the most Christian guy who's called the show tonight so far. Thank you for
by your estimation
call tonight. That's right. That is by my estimation.
And if I would have bought into Bitcoin when I first started listening to you guys, I'd be sitting pretty good right now.
You'd be sending us a big tip.
Well, the good news is it's not too late to get into Bitcoin or other cryptocurrency. You don't just to clarify one thing for people who are new to Bitcoin, you don't need to buy a whole Bitcoin. So if you're interested in getting into Bitcoin and you see the price of it, it's around $7,000 US today, I think, for one Bitcoin. That's going to turn people off and be like, oh my God, I can't afford $7,000. Well, can you afford $30? Because you can buy $30 worth of a Bitcoin. You can buy $20 worth of a Bitcoin. So whatever it is that you can afford to lose, you can put it into cryptocurrency and then hold on for the ride. Don't get freaked out by the ups and downs of the day to day. Just kind of hold on and see what happens. Mark, thanks for your call tonight. I appreciate your thoughts.
Yeah, I recently gave advice to a family friend that I think that now's the time to buy in, that we've found a bottom.
Think it's the bottom?
That doesn't make me right, people.
Right.
That makes me genuine. It makes me believe the things that I say. And, that's that. I think that now we can see all these institutional investors coming into Bitcoin. George Soros just said, he's getting into Bitcoin. You've got these big banks that are putting together, ETFs and that sort of thing with Bitcoin. You can't tell me that demand's not going to go up. I love this little statement that there are over 15 million millionaires in the world, and there's about just under 17 million Bitcoins.
Yeah.
At some point, every millionaire is going to want to have a Bitcoin. What's that going to do for pricing?
It's I would say a bright future for the world of cryptocurrency, and Bitcoin,
just a
of
guess,
course, is on top of it all.
Could be a bear market for the next 2 years. We don't know.
There was a really, the last time the price had a big drop, it did stay low for a few years before it came back up.
I wouldn't mortgage the house for this, although I can tell you there was a time when I did.
All right, let's go to more of your calls and thoughts. Fred is in Michigan, listening in Flint to WWCK. Go ahead, Fred.
Hey, fellas.
Hey, what's on your mind?
Well, the minister, the fellow who called in regarding prostitution being a blight on the country. Well, it starts in Washington, D.C. With the criminal politicians who have access to as much of it as they want, whichever gender they choose.
Right. And whenever they get caught, it's always like, I'm so sorry, my wife, I'm so sorry.
It's a lapse in judgment.
Yeah, right. And they never go to prison for it. They don't go to jail for it.
Yeah, I mean, like you take a bunch of guys, and that's largely what the legislature is. You take a bunch of guys, you separate them from their family for weeks and months at a time. You give them all the alcohol and fancy parties that they can go to. I wonder if prostitution will be involved.
Yeah. And Leonard Caldwell, a German doctor living in South Carolina, heard an interview recently where he stated that in Germany it's fully legal, it's totally healthy, like it is in Amsterdam, Holland. And if I'm not mistaken, guys, I'm no Bible scholar, of course, but the resurrection, the guy that rose from the dead. Wasn't there a woman that greeted him? I think her name was Mary Magdalene.
Mary Magdalene wasn't a prostitute, but she is, historically maligned as one.
Hey, Fred, great call, man. Thanks for sharing it with us tonight. But yes, Jesus would talk to the prostitutes and befriend them, not throw them in cages. More coming up here.
Join me, George Norrie, in Indian Wells, California, for the 6th Annual Contact in the Desert UFO Conference, June 1st through the 4th. Contact in the Desert is an epic weekend of adventure filled with exciting explorations into ancient aliens, human origins, crop circles, UFO sightings, disclosure, and the newest evidence of ongoing contact. This amazing weekend offers more than 50 lectures, 40 workshops, 8 exciting panels, and special events. Contact in the Desert features leading experts, including me, George Norrie, Giorgio Tsoukalos, David Wilcock, Linda Moulton Howe, Michael Tellinger, Eric Von Daniken, Corey Good, Doc Wallach, and many more important researchers and scientists in the field. With a breaking New York Times story, disclosure of the Pentagon's mysterious UFO program, Contact in the Desert is the place to go to see the inside track. Join us at contactinthedesert.com or call 760-660-8484. That's contactinthedesert.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, April 7th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.38 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,333 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $24, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,873. Antiwar.com reports amid growing concerns about mass starvation and lack of medical aid, the UN appears to be backing the Saudi blockade against northern Yemen, announcing they are adding a handful of additional inspectors to rummage through the cargo of aid ships trying to reach the coast. The Saudis are nominally blocking northern Yemen to prevent arms smuggling, though in practice, the only arms their blockading ships have come up with were from boarded ships that insisted they weren't headed to Yemen in the first place. The UN says they will not inspect any ship headed to ports controlled by pro-Saudi forces, which is what the blockade really is, a punitive measure against civilians in the rebel territory. Lack of medicine has killed huge numbers of civilians in northern Yemen, causing several crises. Millions are facing malnutrition and potential starvation. The World Health Organization admitted as much, saying that there are thousands of pallets of aid waiting to be sent to northern Yemen. With only 10 UN inspectors, it's going to take quite some time for any of it to get there. Are you looking for a cryptocurrency that has a focus on users and usability? Then look into Zencash. Zencash has the ability to use both transparent and shielded transactions, with shielded transactions using zero-knowledge proofs. Zencash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zensystem.io. That's zensystem.io. UPI reports Ford announced 2 safety recalls on Friday, affecting about 350,000 of its popular selling pickups and full-size sports utility vehicles. The automaker said the recall affects 2018 model year F-150 pickups, F-650 and F-750 utility trucks, and Expedition SUVs. The first recall affects about 350,000 F-100 and Expedition models with 10-speed automatic transmissions, as well as F-650 and F-750 models with 6-speed transmissions. The vehicles were built at Ford truck plants in Michigan, Missouri, Kentucky, and Ohio. Ford said the vehicles have a transmission gear that may not be fully seated with a clip. Over time, the dislodged or broken clip could keep the transmission in the drive position, even though the shifter has been moved to the park position. Ford said there has been 1 reported accident and injury because of the issue. In the second recall, about 161 Ford F-150, Expedition, Mustang, and Lincoln Navigator models, all sold in 2018, may have a missing rolling pin in their 10-speed transmissions. The potential problem could similarly leave a car's transmission in drive when all indications signify it is in park. The company is not aware of any incidents related to the second recall. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports U.S. law enforcement agencies have seized the classified ad website Backpage.com as part of an enforcement action by the FBI, according to a posting on the Backpage website on Friday. Groups and political leaders working to end forced prostitution and child exploitation celebrated the shutdown of Backpage, a massive ad marketplace that some say is primarily used to sell sex. But some internet and free speech advocates warn the action could lead to harsh federal limits on expression and the press. The website posting said U.S. attorneys in Arizona and California, as well as the DOJ's section on child exploitation and obscenity, and the California and Texas attorneys general have helped shut down the website. The DOJ said late on Friday that a court in Arizona ruled the case remains sealed, which puts any legal information under wraps. In the posting about the seizure, the department had originally said more information would be made public on Friday evening. A Phoenix FBI official said there was a law enforcement activity in Sedona, Arizona, home of Michael Lacey, one of the founders of Backpage, but referred further inquiries to the DOJ. Backpage and advocacy groups say the ads are free speech protected by the U.S. Constitution. In 2016, Texas and California authorities raided the company's Dallas headquarters and arrested chief executive Carl Ferrer and other former company executives on pimping-related charges. The judge in that case ruled the website was protected by the First Amendment and it was not liable for the speech of third parties. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
According to a report released today, the vast majority of American children lack the presence of a strong, sculpted male supermodel, with less than 4% of youngsters being taught the important values of respecting runway etiquette, maintaining a glistening six-pack, and walking a catwalk with verve and flair.
The number of strong-jawed male supermodels in children's lives has declined to record lows, leaving the majority of our youth unaware of how to get comfortable in front of the camera during an underwear shoot or even perform something as simple as a sexy but stylish full turn.
Stanton went on to say that impoverished communities were especially affected by the lack of Adonis-like male figures, and added that children in lower-class homes were over 80% less likely to grow into the type of high-cheekboned, studly he-men that succeed in haute couture society.
Quite frankly, these children are just not getting the necessary influence of a dynamic male supermodel who can both make puppy dog eyes at the camera and also radiate that sort of raw, unabashed machismo that forces fashionistas to look up and take notice.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Yes, sir. It is Free Talk Live. You can take control of the airwaves here, the live Saturday edition of the program. As we launch into the third hour of the show with you here tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
If we get the chance coming up, there's actually more media-related news. We started out talking about how the news media, specifically newspapers, are ignoring a very disturbing story about the federal government coming for your right to freedom of speech on the internet under the guise of supposedly stopping human trafficking and sex trafficking. They are cracking down on free speech. You can hear a whole lot more about that on last night's show. If you download over at freetalklive.com the episode from the 6th, so Friday night, we basically spent 3 hours, the bulk of the 3 hours of the show, talking about this SESTA FOSTA legislation. We kind of recapped a lot of it here tonight, and we'll still take your calls, but it's led into more of a discussion just about prostitution in general here tonight, with callers weighing in on both sides of the issue. We've had people who consider themselves to be Christians taking opposite positions on the air, which has been interesting. We've had the Christians who say that prostitution is bad and so therefore it should be illegal, and then the Christian who just called in saying, well, he doesn't agree with prostitution, but he also thinks that it should be legal, and the same thing should be true of drugs and other things that have been prohibited. Allow people, as you pointed out, Mark, it's not a virtue unless you have the ability to choose. If the options aren't there from which you can choose, then it's not really as virtuous in that case.
No, if so, then every man in prison who has no access to feminine contact is virtuous. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Let's go to Scott. He's in Lynchburg, Virginia. You're, of course, welcome to weigh in however you want on Free Talk Live, or take control of the airwaves and bring up whatever's on your mind. Scott, you're listening to WLNI FM in Lynchburg. Go ahead.
Yeah, one real quick thing. With prostitution, one thing that y'all really haven't thought about, or y'all haven't came up with, a lot of times, it could be parents or guardians that are prostituting out their kids.
Yep, it happens.
And yeah, it doesn't happen very often. And the thing is, that's the reason why it's on the books.
That's the reason why it's on the books.
It's also like in the state of Virginia.
Are we talking about when you say it's on the books, do you mean laws against human trafficking or laws against prostitution? Because they're different acts.
Prostitution too. Prostitution as well. Like in the state of Virginia,
if you're talking about a parent selling sex with their child, that's probably without the consent of their child.
I think consent gets really murky when you're talking about young people and their parents and that sort of thing. I would, however, say that I think that the vast majority of that could be handled if you legalized it and then only made it legal between adults. And I presume in this country we'd call that 18 years old. I shudder to think that an 18-year-old would be considered an adult by anybody, but then again, I shudder to think that a 27-year-old would. At that point, you can say that 14-year-olds aren't going to be. It would still be illegal if parents are trying to pimp out a 14-year-old like Fancy from the country music song.
Well, and the thing is, I understand what you're saying about 18-year-olds not being considered adults, but at the same time, if at 18 years old you're old enough to die for your country, you're also old enough to be able to figure out what you want to do. You're also old enough to be able to figure out if you want to own firearms and if you want to drink a beer. Because, if you're old enough to die for your country, then honestly, that kind of tells me that you should be able to do that kind of stuff.
Oh, I totally agree. I think that I'll go even further to say that younger people should be able to legally sell their sexual services. I remember watching daytime television when I used to work in retail down in Florida. I think it was Oprah or something like that. And they had a series of teenage girls on the show to talk about how they got busted for doing underage prostitution. And not a single one of those young ladies was acting as though they were a victim. They didn't say at any point that they were forced into it by anybody. They figured it was a way for them to make money because they couldn't get a job. They were prohibited by the government from being able to actually work in the real world, and so they had no other options. You either sell drugs or you sell your body if you want to be able to make some money as somebody under a certain age. So, I think that people should be able to make choices. Those may not be the right choices, but putting somebody in a jail cell and punishing them for making the wrong choice with their own self, with their own body, I don't think is the right thing to do.
I can see that.
Scott, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. The toll-free number is 855-450, free like freedom. Let's go to Mike. He's in Virginia Beach, Virginia, listening to WNIS. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Hey, great. What's on your mind?
I came to the program late, so I just turned on the program, and I guess it was one guy, he's a Christian, and he called in and said, prostitution should be illegal. I'm a Bible-believing Christian.
Mm-hmm.
I too believe it should be illegal.
Oh, no. Why?
Because I think it is not a victimless crime.
Who's the victim?
God.
God is the victim? So
let God bring the charges.
So the police need to be doing God's work?
No.
Yeah.
Hold on. The reason why I say that is that God made certain laws. He said, not to do this, etc.
Shellfish, yeah, mixing fabrics. I'm familiar.
I'm thinking about the Ten Commandments. I don't recall anything about prostitution in there.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there were times.
Thou shalt not commit adultery, for example.
No, that's not necessarily prostitution.
Prostitution and adultery aren't the same thing.
Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, we're right here.
When God says not to do something, that's because it's from His character. We are supposed to love one another. Absolutely.
Okay.
But when we do something against God's command,
all right,
and yes, that is in the Bible, 1 Corinthians.
Regarding prostitution?
Yes.
Okay, great.
1 Corinthians chapter 6.
I don't care. But go ahead. Corinthians was
and I know you don't.
Corinthians was written by a hustler, a Jew, a quote unquote Jew from Tarsus that sat on the Sanhedrin in the age of 20. I mean, what kind of Nimrod believes that story? Come on. I mean, Pharisees didn't make it into the Sanhedrin until they were well in their 50s. They're not going to take young people, certainly not from the hinterland.
Part of the Sanhedrin, first off.
Yeah, he certainly claimed it. Well, you just go ahead and read Paul's claims, and you will see the biggest, most successful hustler that the world has ever seen. You should rip every one of his letters out of your Bible and burn them.
Damn.
Well, first of all, he himself said he was not a part of the Sanhedrin. He was a Pharisee under the tutelage of Gamaliel.
But he sat on the council is what his claim was.
No, he did not. Where was it in the Bible?
When he was talking about holding those coats and that sort of thing, he was making all kinds of claims about himself.
I'm sorry, chapter and verse?
Yeah, I'm afraid I can't do that for you. I've tried to divest. Oh, yeah, you know everything because I can't do chapter and verse any longer.
No.
I'm only making a suggestion that you stop listening to a hustler. You can do whatever you want with your life, but I'll tell you that Paul is a hustler, and Jesus would have never created an army of holy warriors called cops and sent them around to arrest people participating in prostitution. Anybody who thinks that isn't a Christian, but a nut.
Not just arrest people for prostitution, Mark, but the way they arrest people for hold on, Mike. The way they arrest people for prostitution is to lie to people. The police will go and pretend as though they are either a John or a prostitute in order to get people collared and arrested for prostitution. They are lying. Now, wasn't there a prescription against telling lies by God?
Absolutely, and I don't agree with that.
Well, how are you going to go and arrest people then? How do you plan to have your Christian police go and arrest people and put them away for prostitution?
Well, if they are caught in the act, absolutely.
How do you catch someone in the act, sir?
That doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Give me an example of how somebody would be caught in the act without an undercover police sting of prostitution. Besides just randomly walking into a room at the same time as somebody says, I'll give you X amount of money for a BJ. How would you catch somebody in the act of that?
Well, just like you stake out if you know a suspected house of prostitution and you have white eyewitnesses or informants.
That
But
doesn't
yeah,
really.
these
It
people
doesn't
are-
really work that way. You have to have the police with evidence. The police themselves have to have some evidence that somebody offered a certain amount of money. That's what?
That's where stakeouts come
No,
in.
the stakeout is usually combined. Hold on.
and-
The stakeout is combined with undercover agents who tell lies.
I have a question.
Yeah, you got a question for our caller?
Yes.
Okay, hang on, Mike. Do you want to shoot the
something,
question
it's
right
something unrelated, Mike, but it's a religious question. I have a question for you.
Mike, if you'll hang on, we'll bring you back here in moments. You don't have a prostitution stakeout without an undercover agent or informant telling lies. You do not have it, without that. So either you support telling lies undercover, or you support just letting people make decisions for themselves and being free. It's Free Talk Live.
She's such a beautiful little puppy. I mean, we walk around the block and neighbors always say, her hair is so beautiful.
Healthy and shiny and glossy. DINOVITE.com.
Fatty acids, omega-3s, and omega-6s are great for healthy skin and soft, shiny coats.
I would really recommend people starting their puppies on Dinovite before they get into what I would call the misery index. Bad skin, bad ears, bad breath.
Because if they're getting all their vitamins, micronutrients, microbials from the beginning, then you're not going to run into the problems associated with the allergies,
grass, pollen, dust, dirt, fleas, ticks, you name it,
and the itching and shedding down the road.
Our vitamins and enzymes replace the nutrients cooked out of most commercial dog foods.
Dinovite for life.
This is Ed Lukasevic
and Cindy Lukasevic,
inviting you and your pets to Dinovite.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
I've said it many times on air, and I'll say it here. The New Hampshire Liberty Alliance is one of the most important organizations for freedom in the world. New Hampshire is ground zero for freedom, and the NHLA is the best organization at promoting effective liberty activism. This ad is sponsored by Free Talk Live, and I, Mark Edge, am a lifetime member because I believe in the NHLA. Please check them out at nhliberty.org. Not everyone can move right now, but you can support the cause. Donate top cryptocurrencies or old-fashioned U.S. dollars, nhliberty.org. Visit their website and see what they're all about, nhliberty.org.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You dial toll free if you want to join us on the radio. Here our number 855-450 free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Joining you tonight, it's Ian
and Mark.
And coming up in the summertime, actually just the week before officially summer begins, June 14th through the 18th, it's ForkFest 2018. What is ForkFest? Well, it is a fork of a different festival, a different libertarian festival that we used to attend called the Porcupine Freedom Festival, or AKA PorkFest. There is now ForkFest for those who would prefer a festival, a libertarian camping festival, without any kind of board of directors, without any kind of agency to look to for organization or for questions or for anything, because there is nobody who's in charge of ForkFest. There's no one who is running ForkFest. There's nobody who is deciding things about ForkFest besides everybody who's attending ForkFest. So how were the dates chosen? Well, we just kind of sat here one night on, I think it was on Will's show or Free Talk Live, one or the other, on LRN.FM, and just sort of openly talked about when should this be? And so a few of us said, well, these dates look good, but if you want to go before that, go before that. If you want to stay after that, stay after that. And then a website was put up at forkfest.party. And so you get to decide what happens here. Do you just want to go and camp with other libertarians in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire at Rogers Campground? That's cool. You can do that. That's going to be the easy way. Do you want to create something for those libertarian campers to do while they're there? Okay, that's going to take a little more effort, but you can do that. It's completely.
You can make a profit doing it.
In theory, you could.
It's been done.
It's completely up to you what happens at the ForkFest. So go to forkfest.party to learn a little bit more about it and connect to certain community resources like our ForkFest forums and chat rooms over at forkfest.party. As we continue here, Mark, you had a question for Mike. He did hang on the line. Mike is in Virginia Beach. He says he's a Christian. He thinks that the police are doing God's work by cracking down on prostitution, but somehow doesn't think that they should tell lies in order to do it. I'm not sure how that can happen. But anyway, Mark, your question.
Yeah, this is much more theoretical, a question about lying.
Okay.
Mike, so there's this ongoing debate in the Quaker community. I'm a Quaker, and I believe in the ongoing revelation of God, not the idea that God wrote some book that we all have to believe.
You're saying that there's messages still coming forth.
Yeah, if there's a God, that God's communicating with us now.
Yeah.
But
I'm with you there.
Yeah, what's that?
I'm with you on that.
I have questions about honesty. I've come to my own conclusions, but I'm interested in yours because you seem to be very clear that dishonesty is unacceptable. Right, Mike?
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
So at the time of the Undercover...
But I do have one issue.
Yes, sir.
You said that I believe that the police are doing God's work. No, what I'm just saying is that, yes, it should be legal. And, yes, it's because of religious reasons. God does say, for example, thou shalt not commit adultery. And, Paul also saying that, you should not... be one with a prostitute.
I've got some quotes on my claim about the Sanhedrin for you, if you'll like those after I ask my question. So now that you've got your clarity, at the time of the Underground Railroad, when black people were escaping slavery in the South, many times Quakers along the way, black people looked for Quaker farms with the intention of being hid in barns and basements and things like this for an evening or for a day, and then they could run it again in the evening. Many times the slave hunters would go and ask the Quakers, are you hiding any runaway slaves? And the Quakers that are on the horns of this dilemma, to me the obvious answer is nope, no slaves here. All the best to you. You want an apple? Bye-bye.
Right.
But there are people who believe, there were Quakers at the time who believed, and other people that you just hope that you don't get asked.
Oh, God.
But the slave hunters just kept asking, and they'd ask more and more because the Quakers were too foolish, in my mind, and kept answering. So does this not sort of deteriorate the understanding of what is the truth if we make excuses for lying? And I'm not trying to catch you in anything on this one. I'm asking for your honest opinion. I think this is a tough a tough question, and that you have shown some level of principle in this. So I'm asking your opinion.
Well, there was a similar situation in the Bible, actually.
Yeah.
When the prostitute hid the Jewish, the Hebrew spies.
Is this the fall of Jericho?
When they were in
Rahab?
Jericho.
Rahab?
Yep.
Uh-huh.
And she's declared righteous because she saved those lives.
Yep. I don't know. I feel like Jesus brought more honesty to the religion. It essentially changed the religion. So I kind of feel like the religion's different now that I get it. I like that. It's the best dodge I've heard, and I like it. I'll take it, and I'm going to use it in the future. But I kind of feel like Christianity is different than whatever was going on with the Jews at the time of the fall of Jericho. But okay, good job. It's better than what I had. I got here from BibleQ.net, a claim that Paul sat on the Sanhedrin. They're referencing verses from Acts 26, Acts 22, and Galatians 1. It's apparently extrapolated as opposed to overtly stated. So I think that this is a situation where you can claim to be correct. Paul certainly claimed to sit on some council, but that council was not directly stated.
The council that he was at in the book of Acts, as far as I remember, it was a Christian council, Council of Jerusalem.
Oh no, this is when he was taking credit for killing Justin.
I'm lost. What the heck are you talking about?
But then again, he still wasn't a part of the Sanhedrin. He was sent from the Sanhedrin to persecute Christians. He himself was never.
What's
on the
Sanhedrin?
Sanhedrin was the High Pharisee Council at the time. It is proposed that all Pharisees weren't on the Sanhedrin, but all people on the Sanhedrin were Pharisees of high rank.
Okay.
Those are the bad guys, right? Sadducees also. There were also Sadducees.
Is that so? Okay, I'm terribly sorry if I've got that if I'm mistaken.
The
on
Pharisees, weren't they the hypocrites or something like that?
No, well, it depends on whether you believe the the Bible was put together post fall of the temple. The Pharisees took a lot of heat that they probably shouldn't have taken. The Sadducees were on the take from the Romans, like full on. The Pharisees were these sort of word of God kind of people, and between them, there's certainly many of awful things that occurred, but it's very likely that Jesus was considered a Pharisee at the time too, a radical one, no doubt.
Mike, thanks for calling. Thanks for sharing your thoughts here tonight. I appreciate it. The toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE like freedom. Let's go on. Here we've got John. He's in Delaware. John, you're on Free Talk Live. I presume you're listening to WILN. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. I just wanted to call in because we got a lot of Christians calling in and saying that prostitution's wrong and all that jazz. I'm a Christian. I'm not a practicing Christian. I believe in Jesus and all that, but I was raised Catholic and went to church every Sunday for the first 14 years of my life, and every Sunday I would get dropped off at CCD, which is a school for Catholic kids, while the parents go to the beginning mass of the day.
Okay.
So I learned a lot about the Bible, and I do recall a story of Jesus, and he came across a bunch of folks in a village, and they were going to cast stones upon a woman. And the woman happened to be a prostitute, and Jesus stopped everybody from casting those stones and said, "He who casts the first stone haveth no sin." So there you go right there. Jesus isn't a judge or a persecutor, and a true Christian isn't a judge or a persecutor of sinners. God is the judge and the persecutor of sinners at their final day.
Great
and
point
that's it,
tonight,
man.
John. Thank you for making it.
Yeah.
There's more coming up.
No problem.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Face it, today's electric power grid is more vulnerable than ever. From natural disasters to EMP attacks and hacking, the grid could be crippled for days or even decades in the most dire scenarios. Visit quantumharvest.net to see our built-to-last EMP-protected solar power systems. While millions suffer, you'll have vital power for water pumps, refrigeration, and sanitation. Now that's peace of mind. EMP-protected solar power systems for every need and budget. See our full range at quantumharvest.net.
The producers of Sesame Street have responded to the controversy over the recent New Yorker cover that showed Bert and Ernie as a gay couple celebrating the repeal of DOMA. Sesame Workshop released a statement today saying, quote, "We have never viewed Bert and Ernie as a gay couple, but as two friends who will do absolutely anything to get their rocks off. These pansexual perverts cannot be categorized in your narrow gay, straight, or bisexual paradigm. They're into some pretty sick shit." On their website, PBS released a long list of the duo's strange sexual fetishes, which range from shoving ice into their anuses so that they can cold water into women's mouths, to castrating stray dogs and then masturbating onto the animals' bleeding wounds. Although they're flattered that fans have turned the characters into gay icons, the producers explained that calling them gay would be inaccurate. Quote, "They will literally f*** anything that moves." The producers also added that Oscar the Grouch is neither male nor female, and that its trash can is designed to hide a lower body that is just a Lovecraftian monstrosity of hundreds of interlocking penises and vaginas.
This is the Onion News Network.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll-free and bring up whatever you want. Our number here, 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. And we do have Skype at Skype username LRN.FM, plus the Discord on-air call-in line room, which we're going to be going to here shortly since somebody is there waiting. And we can put you on the air where you can talk about whatever you want. We've been discussing initially the disturbing legislation coming out of D.C. awaiting Trump's signature that is going to and already is resulting in a very chilling effect on freedom of speech on the internet, with, for instance, Craigslist taking down their entire personal ad section as a result of this possibly soon-to-be law in the United States called SESTA, FOSTA. If you want more details on that, please listen to our show from last night. We got into a lot of discussion about that. You can grab the archives anytime you want over at freetalklive.com. Speaking of archives, Mark, there was a recent show almost 2 weeks ago now. It was a Sunday night episode of Free Talk Live where you guys had Dr. Mary Ruwart on the program. I actually got an email from somebody saying, hey, Dr. Ruwart's coming out with a new book. You guys should interview her. I'm like, yeah, we're way ahead of you.
Already did, buddy.
We did that 2 weeks ago. And you can listen to that anytime you want through freetalklive.com. But she is coming out with a new book, and she points out in her book, Death by Regulation, that the FDA is taking 5 to 10 years off of your life and is responsible for the deaths of untold millions of people since its creation. You can find out why the FDA should be abolished completely from libertarian author Dr. Mary Ruwart, who we've been a longtime fan of here on Free Talk Live. The book's available via pre-order at this point. They're wanting to make a big splash on April 10th when it's released, so your time is running out to get in on that pre-order deal, where she's offering $60 in bonuses for the $27 book. More pre-orders means a higher ranking on the Amazon charts, and a higher ranking means more people will be exposed to the book and will be able to get this important message. You can go to deathbyregulation.us and pre-order your copy there today. Once again, that's deathbyregulation.us. Now, I haven't read it yet.
Well, no one has. It hasn't been released.
Well,
I think there was a PDF.
I think she sent a PDF version.
Yeah, PDF
to us.
version. That's true.
But I don't like reading PDFs.
Just don't. No.
Yeah, if it's if it's one page, okay, I'll read your PDF.
Yeah, maybe 3.
Yeah, right. But if it goes above a handful of pages, I can't handle it. Give me something I can put down by the toilet here at the LRN.FM studio, and I'll read through it. It might take me a year, but I'll get it. Anyway, deathbyregulation.us if you want to get involved in the pre-order there. As we continue with your calls and your thoughts, you can bring up what you want. It's Carl in Atlanta, Texas. I didn't know that was a thing. Carl, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. A guy called in earlier, and he said he was a Christian, and he said a Christian is not supposed to judge. Well, the Bible doesn't teach that. The Bible teaches that you should judge with righteous judgment. And there is a scripture that says, judge not lest you be judged. Mm-hmm. But if you go through life not judging anything, that doesn't mean you escape judgment. Everyone has to judge something. Oftentimes parents don't want their kid running around with another kid who's a troublemaker. They cast a judgment right there.
For sure.
People judge all the time.
Yeah, I think judgment has to be made. And I think that verse is probably best, reconnoitered to something like, you probably shouldn't use the violent apparatus of the state to enforce your will, especially if you're a religion that was that took the brunt of the violent apparatus of the state for the first 3 centuries it existed.
Carl, any other thoughts you want to share?
Well, I guess that's all I had to add. And you were talking a while ago about the FDA. I wish someone would put a little bit of a hold on the IRS and some of the stuff they do. But,
that should be abolished too. She was just writing a book about the FDA in that particular case. But yeah, we think the IRS should go away. In fact, let's just go ahead and abolish the entire federal government while we're at it. How about that?
Well, no, I don't favor that.
No, why not?
I don't favor lawlessness.
No. I didn't say lawlessness. I said abolish the federal government. So you could still have your government of Texas.
Texas is doing better than California, isn't it?
I'm sorry, you both talked over one another. What was that, Carl?
Texas is doing better than California, isn't it?
That we have a problem here. There are a lot of Yankees and people from California that move into Texas, and they want to make this the hellhole that they moved out of.
Yeah, we should give them a dispensation period where they don't get to vote for the first 10 years of moving in.
Yeah, maybe the first 25 years.
Thanks for the call tonight, Carl. I appreciate hearing from you.
I feel the way Carl feels.
It's time to end this United States.
As a person from Florida, as it went from, I don't know, in my lifetime, I can tell you it's over 20 million people now, but as a kid from Florida, yeah, that's how it feels. Is everybody votes, everybody walks in, they got their vote when they immediately come, and they do what they want to do, and the results are what they are.
Look, Texas and California are very different places.
Yeah.
There's no reason why they should be in any kind of government together. Let's let California go its own direction and let Texas go its own direction and not have an overarching monster mega government called the federal government, the United States government, over top of them. Why should the people in California have any say over what happens in Texas? And why should the people in Texas have any say over what happens in California? Let's end this experiment. It's been a failure. The federal government is a failure. It is a monstrous bureaucracy that does nothing but siphon off the productivity of the American people and then just absorbs it into itself. It doesn't do anything of value.
I think the hope is that by many that the Constitution, that the federal government will be brought back within constitutional bounds.
I still don't think it's valuable to have, even if you were to bring it into constitutional bounds. Why bother? What's the benefit?
Well, at that point, it's a defense agency.
Okay, each state can have their own militia.
Understood.
Yeah.
But the federal government is a greater defense agency.
But they're not defending people. They're going around the world destroying innocent life and causing people to hate the United States.
If they didn't have...
if you want to argue the Constitution said no standing army and get back to that to where there's actually no standing army, then you might actually have a point. But then again, you're still relying on the state militias for defense in that case. And I think they would do a fine job. Individuals and whatever groups want to voluntarily form to defend their properties, by all means, they should be free to do that.
I can tell you organizations that train and are prepared for war are generally going to beat organizations with the same amount of people that are militias and just trying to get things done.
Well, there's no one saying here the militias don't train, Mark. They can train, they can prepare, they can own, the same kind of equipment in theory. So, again, why do you need a centralized bureaucracy to have any kind of protection? Are you saying that centralization is more effective, that bureaucracy at the federal level is more efficient than a state level?
No, I think we probably have there's a possibility that exists that we would have more peace in the earth if the United States government was solely a defense agency. And I'm talking about stripping it of its ability to coin money, stripping it of its ability to make post roads, and whatever else it's going to claim as a constitutional bound. Anything else, if it was simply a defense agency that had a funding mechanism of, say, 0.5% of GDP of a given geopolitical area, that you would see organizations, that you would see places like, Ontario and Chihuahua and a variety of other places that would sign up and say, remember that the Constitution was replicated all throughout Latin America, replicated throughout Europe to some extent, less so, but replicated certainly in Switzerland, and I think that there's some argument for the Republic in France. I'm not an expert on that.
So wait, are you saying that people should be forced to pay for this giant defense bureaucracy, or no?
I'm saying the geopolitical organizations may or may not choose to have a large and effective military, which is what the United States is, right? The United States has a large...
Define effective.
Well, you don't want to put them against goat herders. That seems to go badly.
Well, that's not very effective. They're large. They're expensive.
They keep organizations like Russia and China from attempting to do the same thing.
To go after goat herders?
No, of taking over the world, which is basically, the United States have...
Why would China take over the United States? We're great customers. There's no incentive there.
China's very interested in what's going on in Southeast Asia. They're going to try for regional power status before they try for any kind of world government. But you don't believe for a second that these organizations don't want some kind of imperial... They don't have some kind of imperial aspirations, right?
I don't know, man. You can only spread your forces so thin. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733.
Tell it to the U.S. government.
Either way, centralization tends to be very inefficient, and monopolies are not particularly known for their good customer service and efficiency either. But if it's operating in a free market and you have the choice to support it, then fine. Go ahead and have your big old military. It's Free Talk Live.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help. Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite. Pick up 2 bottles of Lico Chops, get the 3rd bottle free. New improved Lico Chops with omega-6, omega-3, vitamin E, and now 6 extra direct-fed microbials. Even better for the digestive tract and immune system. And dogs love it. Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free. This is Henry Lukasevic for Dynavite.
DINOVITE.com.
Cryptocurrencies are successful because of good technology. The liberty-loving voluntarists who founded Zencash in 2017 took the best tech, like zero-knowledge anonymity and decentralized autonomous organizations, and are creating a secure platform for money, messages, and media that can be sent to anyone, anywhere in the world. Zencash is a cryptocurrency dedicated to peace, anonymity, and decentralization. Find out more at Zencash.com. That's Zencash.com.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $9.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
BuySellMakeOffer.com.
BuySellMakeOffer.com. You got it?
BuySellMakeOffer.com.
BuySellMakeOffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
The Shire Free Church offers a sanctuary to those seeking an escape from state churches.
The Shire Free Church is an interfaith, diverse group of people that may not share identical theological beliefs. As a member in or minister of the Shire Free Church, you are a sovereign individual and may be the faith of your choice.
We don't claim to have all of the answers.
We are open to all peaceful people.
We want to learn from each other.
What unifies the Shire Free Church and its diverse members is peace,
love,
and liberty. There are many paths to God, one for every individual.
The Shire Free Church does not define a specific path beyond those parameters that must be your foundation.
Peace as your way,
love as your guide,
and liberty as your light.
Learn more at church.shiresociety.com.
That's church.shiresociety.com. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. Moments remain. Enough time maybe for you to get your thoughts on the air with us here. You can call in 855-450-FREE like freedom. You can also call on Skype at Skype username LRN.FM or jump into the Discord on-air call-in line room on our Discord. Go to discord.lrn.fm to do that. And by the way, that chat is available to you. There's chat rooms all over the Discord. There are different types of categories. Those are available to you 24 hours a day, before, during, and after the show. During the show is where things are the busiest in the Free Talk Live room, but throughout the day, you never know what you're going to get in those other rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. Free Talk Live brought to you by the Free Talk Live AMP program and our couple hundred awesome subscribers to the AMP program. Thank you to everybody who is a current or even a former Free Talk Live amplifier. We appreciate your help because your $5 a month that goes into the AMP program helps us market and advertise and promote Free Talk Live to get Free Talk Live on more radio stations around the country. Our caller there from Atlanta, Texas, that's actually in the signal from KTFS there in Texarkana, one of our newest stations. So we can bring more radio stations on if we have the marketing budget to do it, and that's part of what the AMP program goes towards. And you can learn more about the AMP program and about the perks you'll get access to, like access to the AMP-only call-in lines, the AMP-only podcast, the AMP-only Discord chat rooms, and the AMP-only Facebook group. For those of you still hanging out on Facebook, that's one of the few reasons I stayed there for a while, longer than I otherwise would have. So check it out over at amp.freetalklive.com. You can use credit card, you can use PayPal, you can use Bitcoin Core if you want to support Free Talk Live. $5 a month is all we ask. If you want to give more, we sure do appreciate that too. You can do that over at amp.freetalklive.com. As we go to one of those amplifiers, he's Lumpy, and he's on the line in the Discord on-air call-in line room. Go ahead, Lumpy.
Good evening, and thank you. First, I just want to say I'm sorry for being less than perfect on my Thursday call. If there's ever an opportunity to talk with Heather again, I'll probably apologize and understand that there's no way I'll ever be able to reach through to her.
You're referring to a dramatic blow-up on Thursday night at the end of the first hour, which, by the way, people were asking yesterday what happened to that video. For whatever reason, the Twitch video never even made it to Twitch. It was streamed on Twitch, but it didn't get saved there for some reason. We still don't know why that happened. But last night, the YouTube version, because we stream simultaneously to Twitch and YouTube, the YouTube version, which is a lower resolution, did make it partially yesterday, but it was only showing 2 hours of the show, which conveniently were the 2 hours after the first hour. So that first hour where the blow-up happened wasn't available yesterday. It is finally there now. So YouTube has finally posted the full video. It must have been stuck in processing, partial processing or something like that, but it is there now for anybody that's been wanting to see it. It was the fourth segment of the first hour where that happened. I might just go ahead and cut it out. Since we did cut out Mark's blow-up, we might cut out Heather's blow-up and put it up there on the channel as its
Mark's blow-ups are epic. I love them. Mark, please don't ever. They're so important to keep on the air.
But that wasn't the reason you were calling tonight, right, Lumpy?
No, correct. Yeah, this. You guys talk about issues that are so much more important than the junk that comes off of the television and off of Facebook and off the left-right paradigm. This I grew up as a Methodist, a confirmed Methodist. My brother's an ordained Methodist minister. It doesn't mean I'm a Christian, or I'm not a Christian anymore. I don't know what I am, but I believe there's stuff that I just don't understand, and that's where I'm going to leave it, and I'm going to be receptive to it. There was a quote, I don't know who it was, but somebody who was, I believe, an atheist said, I admire Jesus, said something, I'm paraphrasing, something like, I admire Jesus, but it's his Christians that are so unlike him.
Yeah,
and I think that Christians, Gandhi quote. Okay. Yeah. One thing I think that Christians have lost their way in, and it's not just Christians. This is so many people these days. It's the left, right. We have this. People have stopped practicing their religion so much. It's not taking care of your neighbor and loving your neighbor and trying to, if you're really truly concerned with them, this issue about prostitution, to say that you're not willing to go and, if you're really a Christian, if you really believe these things, go into the street and talk with these prostitutes, go to these places, get out of your car, risk hanging out with these. That would be something that would be Jesus would do. Sure. I do things like that, and I'm not Christian. I do that because I know what it does for me. Okay, it gives me a much greater benefit. When I have I'm not boasting about myself. I'm just saying that's what I do because that's in my own best interest. I think that Christians have become nationalists more than anything. They look to the flag. They look to this idea that there's something greater, and I understand that people can be so controlled by fear. I believe that fear is a greater motivator than the opportunity to gain. When we're afraid of brown people, when we're afraid of the left, when we're afraid of the right, we lose our ability to apply our intelligence and our consciousness and our passion and our, this is what's killing us. This is why the world does not necessarily, I've been all over the world. I was in the military and fighting the phony drug war. The world does not like us. And this is back in the 90s, like we all think we do. This is not, some of them do, but they like our music and our sports. The police have become very non-virtuous. They have created for themselves an era, and we want these people to be the ones who are enforcing our morals on other people. I don't think that that's Christian.
A Christian chanting in favor of the police cracking down on prostitution, which is what we heard earlier tonight. Christians who are advocating for that, they might as well just be advocating for the people who put Jesus on a cross.
Well,
exactly.
They're not advocating for the police to do it. That's
yes, they were earlier tonight.
Basically, all they're saying is that they don't like it. It's
no, they
bad,
said it should be illegal,
immoral. It's illegal.
They said it should be enforced.
Saying it should be illegal doesn't
that's advocating
take
for the police
the
to do
next
it.
Logical step of, well, we've got to make sure that this gets enforced against minorities on a greater basis than it does, the normies out there.
No, but it is asking for the police to do it. That's exactly what it is.
What else would it possibly be, Ian? I understand. You're taking a logical step that is completely reasonable, but the average person, when talking about an emotional subject, doesn't take logical steps. If you want to make prostitution or anything else illegal, you need to be willing to say that I am going to arm a legalized gang and enforce this. and I'm willing to steal my neighbor's money to do it. My morals are so important to me that you will follow them.
Multiple violations of the Ten Commandments right there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there is no Christian. Then again, I understand people believe Paul. I don't. I don't believe in Paul. There is no Christian defense of a state.
Right. Which is why
Paul, if you believe the story, I think Paul was a turncoat eventually. I think the story, he kind of turned on the people anyway. And not that I don't remember exactly, but that's what I. But I do think that we've lost this. If I don't know how we've gotten distracted. I don't know if it's the government education system that's got us so divided, the televisions, the media that we're so used to having in our face all the time. But we're practicing this collectivism and nationalism. It may not be my cup of tea to have, prostitution on Craigslist or it's my or Backpage or whatever, but it's up to me to make that choice.
Hey, I've never been to Backpage. I mean, it doesn't matter to me who's saying what on Backpage. It's not it doesn't have any effect in my life. Hey,
right. If you're going to go there, that's because you want to go there.
Right. And if you see something there that's uncomfortable, you can walk away from it. Lumpy, thanks for the call tonight, man. I do appreciate it. Let's go to Zach. He's been waiting patiently in Indianapolis listening to WIBC. Go ahead, Zach.
How you doing tonight?
Hey, you're on the air.
So I'm a Christian. I was raised Christian. I've been Christian my entire life, and I'm a devout Christian today. And I'll be the first person to tell you that I've sinned and I'm a sinner. But I believe that it should be legal.
Yes, prostitution.
There's a separation of church and state for a reason.
Okay, so the separation of church and state suggests that your religion shouldn't be enforced by the state, doesn't it? And why should it then be illegal?
He said it should be legal.
Oh, it should be legal.
It should be legal.
Trying to say it is illegal. Excuse me.
He is a Christian saying prostitution should be legal, as some of our other Christian callers have said tonight.
I don't think you're going to make it moral. I don't think you're going to make it good. I don't think you're going to even make the outcomes great.
I'm not sure if it's even bad, but that's a whole other discussion.
It's an entirely different discussion. We won't know because the federal government makes it very difficult for you to try these sorts of things.
Yeah. Zach?
But you saw what happened in the old times of the Catholic Church when they ran the government. You can't have a religion running the government and have the government actually work.
Well, the government's not going to work either way. I mean, it doesn't matter who's running the government. As long as the government is a centralized monopoly bureaucracy that is forcing people to obey it and forcing people to fund it, it doesn't matter how Christian or unchristian or whatever the belief systems are of the people who are running it. The state itself is an immoral function. The state itself is an immoral construct, and nobody who considers themselves a moral person should support it. Zach, thank you for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. If you didn't get in tonight, please accept our apologies and call tomorrow. And call earlier in the show, because then we will definitely get you on. Because we do a live Sunday edition of Free Talk Live, 7 to 10 Eastern, every single night of the week. That's when we do this program. You can always grab us online at freetalklive.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitch at twitch.lrn.fm, where you can watch us live. We'll see you tomorrow. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
Questioning Authority is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, April 7th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.38 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,333 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $24, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,873. Antiwar.com reports amid growing concerns about mass starvation and lack of medical aid, the UN appears to be backing the Saudi blockade against northern Yemen, announcing they are adding a handful of additional inspectors to rummage through the cargo of aid ships trying to reach the coast. The Saudis are nominally blocking northern Yemen to prevent arms smuggling, though in practice, the only arms their blockading ships have come up with were from boarded ships that insisted they weren't headed